There we go. Hey there everyone, welcome to my channel. It's me Gamerturk, and today we're gonna have something a bit more different. First off, I will provide some context and then we'll move on to the actual thing. Since I made those TikTok misconceptions videos on Kirito, one on him merging with his avatar, wherever the fuck that came from, and the other that Kirito shook the space, shook the universe and stuff. A whole lot of power scalers / debaters have been coming over to me, sometimes on the comments of my channel, sometimes on DMs, have been asking quite the silly stuff. And I don't shame people for asking silly stuff, you know. It's a question. You're trying to find the reality behind something that you have heard. That's perfectly fine, no matter how silly the thing you're asking about, that's perfectly fine. It does kind of get troublesome when the same person asks the same 5 or 6 different silly questions on an actual loop. And the past 3 days I have been basically speaking, I believe, to the exact same person from 3 different accounts. I will go over the entire messages to just clarify everything that's been claimed, just so you know what's the actual situation, because these are such common things. The person just read something somewhere on the internet that a whole lot of people read and ended up asking me these questions and then doesn't like my answers and just keeps looping the same questions over and over. And that's what we're gonna do today. Go through whatever the fuck I just been through with this person. It's been 4 to 5 hours over the past 3 days that I have tried explaining stuff to this person, and I was like, wow, what a waste of time. And then I thought, this doesn't have to be a waste of time. As a result, I decided to, you know, make this live stream. It's gonna be a whole lot more casual than usual. It's not exactly structured, mainly because oh, the chat itself is not very structured in the first place. But yeah, what I'm basically doing is, the person is asking stuff, I am trying to clarify stuff. I also have my volume 18 right here with me. There are a couple stuff from earlier volumes, but I cannot spend so much time, you know, going through every single book to show you in this exact stream. If I were to do that, I'd rather make a, you know, normal video that I prepare beforehand, you know, edit in Adobe Premiere and etc. As I said, I don't think this is worth that much effort, so what I'm gonna do here is just go through the person's claims, let's say, and then go through the actual book. I approximately know the pages, so it shouldn't take too long for me to find them, but if it takes too long, I'll probably edit this live stream to cut out those portions. I can take stuff from the chat somewhere down the line, but first off I want to get through this monstrosity of whatever the fuck that is, and then I'll probably have a look at the chat, unless this takes way too long. First off, you have probably seen the warning up there. Is it right there, or is my camera... Yes, it is mirrored, so it's gonna be up there. We're gonna have some very minor stuff from Untitled Ring, specifically from Untitled Ring 4. So volume 25 of the light novels, which has not yet been translated by Yan Press. That is about 4 volumes ahead of us, considering they are translating Kiss and Fly volume 22 as well. So that's been your warning. It's seriously nothing significant or something like that. It's just 1 or 2 sentences I do need to be able to explain certain stuff in very specific ways, just so that you know there's something from Untitled Ring coming up soon. In fact, very soon. Hey there everyone, welcome. Glad to see so many people over here. No, it's not a premiere, it's actually a live. As I said, I cannot waste that much time over editing such a video to air it as a premiere. So let's bring up those entire Facebook messages. So I got messages from 3 different people. The last one I didn't even speak with because, oh my god, it is the same person. Just go up. And we will start with the first thing. Kirito actually doesn't shake the universe. He has a problem with my video because of course all of these people have problems with my video because oh my god, Kirito has to be a god. How does this person claim such an absurd thing that Kirito is not a god? Because I actually read the books and I can understand basic English. He asks, is it actually stated that he did not shake the universe? This is for those people who do not understand the concept of imagery used in literature. This is something that's gonna come up way too often in this entire chat because the person is absolutely incapable of understanding what imagery is. In fact, he didn't know what imagery is, and at some point in chat he assumes when I say imagery I'm talking about incarnation. I don't think he knows what incarnation is either because you can't exactly mix those words. But let's start with that imagery. Imagery is something they teach you around middle school. Depending on your country, it's gonna be from either 5th grade up to 8th grade, but you will definitely learn it somewhere in middle school. I personally am pretty sure was either 6th grade or 7th grade back in Turkey. It's gonna change depending on your country, of course, and education system. But imagery is basically describing something in a vibrant, colorful, not actually having tons of colors, but you know, describing very vibrantly as to what that is, so the reader can properly imagine in their minds as to how it looks like, what is actually happening. This is especially important when things that are somewhat otherworldly. I mean, you can use them for basic stuff as well. It's done all the time in novels. But especially important when there's like otherworldly stuff going on, so the reader does not just see random words, but has some reference point to be actually able to imagine what's going on in their own minds. Something like Sword Art Online, when you're in a game, there's tons of flashy stuff going on, so imagery becomes particularly important in those portions. And the space shaking point, it is in volume 18, when Kirito is fighting the abyssal horror somewhere down the line. Either Shitiko or Lorene say that Kirito has shaken the universe. They don't say that, they say there's a ripple going through the stars. And if you actually try to understand what a ripple is, you know, ripple is a water droplet comes into water and there's like a ripple effect going outwards. You see rings, kind of making your view blurry, not blurry but wiggly. It's a shockwave. Basically, in this situation, Kirito does something so powerful that there's a shockwave going on around, and from my perspective, looking at the stars, as that shockwave is coming, naturally the shockwave is making those stars look wiggly as it arrives at me. That's literal imagery going on right there. Of course, a whole lot of people think the space actually shook. And when you say it's imagery, it's not real, it's what that person is seeing, no, they don't accept that. They keep citing that sentence, saying, oh my god, there was a ripple, the space must have shook. Now let's imagine, if the space shook, if the entire universe shook, if the stars all the way stretching out into the galaxy shook, who would be the first one to feel it, aside from the mecha dragons that are right up there? It is the planet right below them, right? Cardina is literally right there next to them. And as I said, spoilers from United Ring, but we know specifically from United Ring that they did not feel it. Nobody on Cardina felt something was going on up there. This is, again, spoilers from United Ring 4. When Kirito is talking with Eoline as to what has happened, etc., they are catching up, and eventually they talked about the defeat of Abyssal Horror. So what happened there is Lorene and Shitika basically go back with Kirito, Asuna, and Alice. They have a small chat, etc., and then Kirito and Ko have to log out by Rinko. That's from earlier United Ring volumes. So in the end, Shitika and Lorene, I'll keep it short, go over and report their encounter to the Cardina Space Force, you know? When there's an event, you go ahead and report them. At first, they don't believe something has happened, you know? They go report, oh, somebody just arrived and killed the Abyssal Horror. They don't buy it. First off, the information they received was the fact that Abyssal Horror should not have even been up there, because they first asked the other planet of Admina to confirm that the Abyssal Horror was not there. That's point number one. Secondly, even Star King and Star Queen, no matter how many times they fought the Abyssal Horror, they could not destroy the damn thing. So when these two integrity pilots come down and say, someone just arrived and killed the goddamn beast, naturally don't believe it. On top of that, one of those reasons that they don't believe it is because they did not sense or feel anything. What does that mean? Well, they're right next to them. That just means they did not shake. The planet right below the event did not shake. And that's pretty much all I have to say. Afterwards, they of course kept observing the supposed orbit of the Abyssal Horror and eventually confirmed that it is not returning, which means it must be dead. At that point, after a lengthy observation period, they finally conclude, yes, something has happened and these girls must be telling the truth. But they did not feel anything, they did not sense anything, because nothing shook. It was simply a shockwave that they felt in their mecha dragons right next to the event. So the person is asking for the proof of it, of course, and it's from, as I said, Untitled Ring 4, that is not yet been translated, etc. And we go on. It's readable on the stream, right? He said the funny word. Which funny word did I say? Hey there, Tiffany, thank you. Oh, people are reacting to the size of the chat. The sync of the audio feels weird. Yes, actually, I can see that. Give me a second. I have no idea why my camera delay is not here. I will fix that in a second. Oop, much. Okay, yep, there's the delay. It should be working properly now. Thank you for saying. Hey there, Storm. That's English actually. For some reason I kept reading Strom in German. Anyway, so we keep going and the person keeps sending me, these screenshots. And when you look at the screenshots, in fact, you will see more and more of this as I get more screenshots. It's so obvious that the person has taken a screenshot by a simple keyword search, go in there, has no clue what the context of what he has just screenshotted is. He just searched for the keyword and pasted it over here as proof without knowing what it actually proves. So we got 2 screenshots here. And now I believe he's gonna go about the universe stuff. Yes, exactly. So the gist of it is this paragraph down here. I'm assuming you can see my cursor. Yes. The stars in the endless universe trembled. Again, the universe is shaking and then going over, what do you mean there is no universe? That's another point that ties into this. What I said is, and I say that quite often, that there is no universe in Underworld, at least as of now. It is a simulation created based on the game engine that is the Seed. The Seed has Cardinal, a watered down version of Cardinal, and what does Cardinal do? It maintains, it adapts, it creates. And it creates to adapt specifically. So unless there's a reason for Cardinal to create an entire universe, it will not create a universe. It is tasked with adapting to circumstances. That's the key point. So, to illustrate that there is no universe, let's not go there first. When I say there is no universe as you know it, these people always say, well, here he says, it's clearly stated in the novel that Underworld universe is endless and infinite, just like ours. First off, that is not even stated. when you try to ask this person where it's stated, he's just gonna keep sending you this specific screenshot because it says, the stars in the endless universe trembled. Just that portion is just proof for the entire universe existing in an infinite manner, no less. He doesn't realize this is a computer program. There is no infinite in computer programs. Going into that technicality, even with Seed, as magical of a game creation engine it is, there is no infinite. That is proof for the endless universe. The thing is, whichever game you go into, you look up at the sky and it looks infinite, right? There's just so much stuff up there. It's all the stars and stuff. In fact, pretty sure I can pull you a screenshot of Destiny. Destiny has absolutely gorgeous skyboxes, by the way. There's just so much stuff. Let me see, find you a good one. I know there's a shot from the moon. In fact, I feel like I did send it to this person at some point. Yep, this one. Let me open it. Yes, save that screenshot into my stupid shit folder that I prepared for this little live stream. Enter the stupid shit folder. Open the screenshot, paste it right here. There we go. Now you should be able to see a nice little screenshot from Destiny without my face, because otherwise you can't see the endless sky with all the stars and the infinite universe that Destiny has. Guess what? Destiny does not have an infinite universe. This is called the skybox. So to simplify the matters, when people like this come up, I just say, hey, Underworld has a skybox. Because that's the most, that's the most basic way I can put it. Up there, this is a screenshot from the moon. The moon. Up there, you see the Earth right there, and behind the Earth, you see all the stars and the universe. And that's just an illusion. They actually don't exist. Well, Earth exists, but it's a separate map, separate instance, completely separate thing. The stars you see behind, the endless universe that you see behind, doesn't exist. And that's the simplest way you can put it. The games have been doing this for ages. And Underworld, at its core, it's a creation of a game engine. That is exactly what it does. It may not be Skybox, but that's the simplest way I can explain it to someone like this who doesn't want to understand. There is no universe there. It's just an illusion of a universe until, that's the key point, until someone actually gets to a device that can go all the way there. At which point, once people go there, Cardinal will have to create some content to wherever they have been, because, its objective is to adapt to what's happening. Once that happens, yes, something will be created wherever people have went. But we are not there yet, so nothing over there exists because Cardinal had no reason to adapt. And on top of that all, I believe you guys are intelligent enough to understand a computer program can't be infinite, you can't simulate infinite. It's pretty basic. You can imitate infinite as far as your technology allows, but you cannot simulate infinite. How are we doing, by the way? Hey there, Ada. Hey there, Argen. Hey there, Otgon Bileg. That's an interesting name right there. It is a very long convo, trust me. We're gonna be here for a while. The thumbnail is still showing... Really? Is it? I am seeing the correct thumbnail. I know a whole lot of people do too, because some people have reacted to it already. as to how stupid the statement up there is. So I'm pretty sure we're showing the correct thumbnail. On the Discord server, yes, Discord cached the wrong thumbnail as usual. Not surprising. But yeah, Destiny is a great game, it's fun. If this guy actually read or watched SAO, he would know this. No, that's where you're mistaken, my man. They do not. They don't understand what they read. That's why I'm gonna go over Imagery multiple times in this entire chat, because they don't understand what Imagery is. Once I catch up with the chat, I will continue with that convo over there. I'm personally a fan of SAO, but it isn't close to perfect. Nothing is. Let's be real. Nothing is close to perfect. You're handsome. Thank you. Fenerbahçe champion? Yeah, man. We got Özil now. We got this. Yeah, we're not even gonna talk about Kirito's omnipotent stuff. That's absolutely stupid. I have a question. I thought Kirito can regenerate like in episode 4 of season 1 when the fight with Gleamice he didn't regenerate. That's because passive battle healing abilities... I'm pretty sure I talked about this in my Aincrad misconceptions video. Please go check that out. If I go into that, we're gonna be derailing way too much. If I haven't talked about it over there, please do ask me on the Discord server again, and I will respond to you there, if no one else responds by the time I'm there. So, where were we? Alright, I scrolled down for the Destiny screenshot. Let's go up. Let's go up. We're just at the beginning of this. So yeah, where was I? Yeah, as I said, playable space is generated by the kernel system when the playable space is actually required, because kernel adapts. Its task is to adapt. Where is it stated? That's how kernel works. That's something we have known ever since the seed has been... In fact, that's something we have known back during Aincrad, because Yui explains all of these stuff, how kernel works, what it's tasked with, etc. And it comes up over and over and over and over and over again. Even in the Cordial Chords, the ordinal scale epilogue story that I have covered on my channel with a summary, everything always talks about how kernel aims to adapt. We got that covered. At this point, not sure if I'm understanding this person correctly. You can read things yourself as I'm scrolling down. I will not, read every single thing. But the person starts claiming Underworld is a different universe than the reality. And it is a simulation. It is not even a fully fledged universe simulation, because as I said, a proper universe does not exist yet. It's questionable if it ever will. But it's like the person is trying to go into that multiverse territory based on this simulation existing inside the real world on Ocean Turtle, which is not even gonna go into that. And then the person keeps repeating that the galaxy exists. This is a recurring topic. You will see this about a dozen times, if not more. I exhaled and surveyed the unthinkable scene before my eyes again. Stars of a breathtaking density stretched in a band from top right to the bottom left of my vision. I suppose you could call it the Milky Way, but no matter how I lined up the potently glowing stars, I could not recognize a single familiar constellation from the real world. This was Underworld alright. Now I didn't double check, but this is pretty obvious that it's from Kirito's inner monologue when he first dived back with Asuna and Alice together and started realizing they were in space. And yes, again, as I keep saying, the person keeps looping around the exact same questions. He's trying to use this as a statement that a universe exists. Whereas if you realize that kind of stuff exists in every single game, the entire argument falls apart, you know? Anyways, since I went over that already in a quite elaborate manner as to what is there and what can be there, how kernel works, etc., we're gonna gloss over these. As you can see, we are still too much up top. I'm not sure if you can see the scroll bar on the right side, but we're all the way top. And I don't want to sit here for 5 hours. I already sat with this guy about 5 hours explaining these stuff. Oh, you see, that's what I was talking about. Personally, I think Underworld is a reality born from a quantum flux where everything is simultaneously real. Yes, a simulation is always real. If you look from the real world, that is indeed a real simulation. That doesn't mean the simulation itself is real. It's a different reality concept down there. And again, if I go over to the previous arcs, that's the point of SAO. It's trying to say virtual may be just virtual, but what we live in there, the memories that we have in virtual, the memories themselves become real through the virtual medium. But again, I feel like this is too much for this guy to actually consume, the thought process of it. They never said virtual is real in SAO. They fully understand that virtual is virtual, but what we do with that virtual, our experiences with that virtual stuff, that's the real thing. Is the core concept of SAO, ever since the first Aincrad arc. And the person is using things like quantum flux and words he doesn't know what they mean because all fiction uses it and people think it's real stuff. Now, quantum exists. There's gonna be that one idiot that's gonna say, but quantum physics exists. Yes, it exists, but it's nothing like what you hear in fictional media. Let's draw the line there. And then we go back to the skybox topic, because that's the simplest way to explain it, but the person does not want to understand. And at this point, the entire discussion just becomes a mesh of the person not reading what I'm saying, and just making arguments back to back. Things like the Underworld is the third universe, the real world, the VR world, and the Underworld. He's even separating that one step further, which I find awfully entertaining, to be honest. Which is outright wrong. Underworld is just VR. It's just a more elaborate VR. As I said right here. Can you explain how they got... how they bleed and get hurt then? That is simple. Because you can bleed and get hurt in VR. The only difference is the games that you know before have a suppression mechanic that makes you not feel them, because they want to be PG-13. Whereas the Underworld has no need for this, so they just don't have a suppression mechanic. Pretty simple, huh? Who would have thought? Hey there, Jaskar, welcome. Truth, stop dropping your phone, please. Exactly, Underworld is just a virtual world. Glad normal people actually understand this fact. Thank you. Now here's a big screenshot. Let me actually open it on a separate window. I have no idea what this is. I actually didn't read it because a lot of things these people sends me is irrelevant. Isn't this the... I'm pretty sure it's the log file from Untitled Ring. Why did that go down? Please come back up. Let me put it up here. I'm pretty sure it's the log file, the speech between Star King Kirito and Kayaba. Should be in Untitled Ring 1 prologue. How did I do that? Window capture, please. Oh, adding a fifth one. Jesus Christ. Yes, we're gonna have that one. So that's the log file he sent me. Which, as you can see, has absolutely nothing to do with what he said over here. Can you explain how they bleed and get hurt? It has absolutely nothing. Yeah, it's like Kayaba's dream of uniting the... You can see my cursor, right? Yes. It's Kayaba's dream of uniting the VR and the real world together, which he has already stated back in Alicization when he was speaking to Rinko. And there's absolutely nothing that relates to what the guy just said on the other side. I'll be taking this down. I assumed there'd be something to talk about, but it turns out there isn't anything to talk about. What a surprise. Oh yes, he was wasting my time. And I'm hoping that waste will not be an entire waste by making this video and informing other people while spending some time to actually inform other people. And I just inserted another ad slot. I hope you see an ad. Oh right, this is where it ties. I thought the seed was for unification. Well yes, that is Kayaba's plan. But that's like so many steps beyond. The seed is the game creation engine. That's it. For all intents and purposes, its goal is to create so many games that people get used to these VR games, and then hopefully somewhere down the line, both worlds will be accepted at a common ground. That's it. Nothing too complicated there. Oh, here he is again. People are creating multiple universes with the seed, which is absolutely absurd. It's the games we have are not universes. The games they have are not universes either. Moving on. Real body is nothing without a soul. What a correct statement. That's the first from this person. Since their soul and consciousness are connected in the underworld. This is where it goes down again, because consciousness and soul are abstract terms that we use to describe, in a sense, the unknown. In fact, the person is so unaware of what these words mean, what these terms mean, that he doesn't understand that your consciousness was being transferred in every single VR game, in every single full dive game. Your consciousness is what you think, what you do. In simple terms. And what the nerve gear does, what the atmosphere does, what any VR tech does, is that it cuts all that signals, what you're thinking, what you're doing, from the rest of your body and sends it to the virtual world. And that means your consciousness is now in the VR world. And again, soul in Project Alicization, which I will explain in the chat as well, but I can skip my portions over here because I'm explaining already. The soul is something within your head. Part of the thing that even previous nerve gear and atmosphere are transferring over to the real world. The only difference is the previous tech is doing it on a neurological level, you know, taking the signals from your nervous system. Whereas what the STL is doing, going further inside your brain and taking that signal from the microtubules inside your brain instead of cutting it off from the nervous system. That's the only difference. Otherwise, there is not really a difference between the two. It's if I have to simplify it way too much, I'll say it like this. Where's my controllers? This is a DualShock 3. This is a DualShock 5. If you think from this concept, your nervous system is the DualShock 3, your microtubules is the DualShock 5. I don't think it's called DualShock 5. It's the PlayStation 5 controller, goddammit. I'm gonna keep calling it DualShock 5. There is no difference. It's just the controller mechanism that is between the two generations of full dive tech. This seed is a pocket universe. Holy shit, who would have thought? This person did. You're welcome. Moving on. I mean, if you consider every single game is a universe, yeah, you can call it that, but arguing a multiverse based on simulations is silly. They are simulations, not alternate universes by definition. Soul is an abstract concept, as I said, and then the person really wants to insist Underworld is not a video game. Now, he is correct. The problem is he has no understanding of what's being said when I go ahead and say Underworld is not a video game. It's actually quite simple, and I explained this to this person about 3 or 4 times in the course of this entire chat. Underworld is a realistic simulation created via a game engine. Now, the distinction should be quite clear here. A game is a simulation is also a simulation. What's the difference between the two? Well, the game is meant to be played. A normal simulation is not meant to be played. It's there for research or some other goal other than playing a game and having fun. It's the only difference. Other than that, both are literally the same things. A whole lot of research, in fact, are being done through games, even today. Like with something like City Skylines, for example, it won't be realistic, but you can simulate certain things like traffic flow and stuff. And the real life knowledge that we have goes into something like City Skylines. If you don't know what City Skylines is, it's basically SimCity. You create your own city, and it has very micromanageable options as well. Like for highways, you can set lane options. People can't go left, people can't go right. You can really micromanage things. And once you can micromanage that much stuff, it's basically a simulation that you can do certain research with or obtain certain information with, even though it's not 100% realistic, as Underworld isn't 100% realistic either, because obviously it's built with a game engine, same as City Skylines is. But yeah, the difference between a video game and a simulation like Underworld, only the goal is different. Nothing else is different there. Will this video be available to watch later? I would like to listen to this tomorrow since I got some schoolwork. Yes, I will make this available tomorrow as well. But it will probably have many more ad breaks because I keep forgetting to put ad breaks to the live stream, and it doesn't work as well putting ad breaks into a live stream. But you can become a channel member, you know, that supports me. Oh yeah, the screenshot says it's a simulation. As I said, the person does not read what his screenshots say. He doesn't know what his screenshots actually mean. He doesn't read English. He doesn't understand English. That's the thing. It says it is not a video game, which means Underworld is not meant to be played. But that doesn't change the fact that its infrastructure is a gaming infrastructure. He tries making a point that a menu does not exist, an item storage does not exist, all items need to be carried by hand. The person doesn't seem to realize such games do exist and they are still games. I'm pretty sure it's a common mechanic for, survival games. Like really hardcore survival games where there is no real item storage and that you put everything on your person and try to manage. A menu is not a prerequisite to have a game. An item storage is not a prerequisite to have a game. Those kinds of stuff. It's very simple. What else does this screenshot say? All items, while clothes and weapons can be equipped the same way as in real life. which can be done in Sword Art Online as well, or every other game for that matter. You can just equip things by grabbing them with your hand, because that is also a game mechanic that is included in the seed package that the Underworld is created with. Logging out manually is also impossible due to this. It is by intention, actually, because remember the 4 progenitors that created Underworld and created the civilization. They had 8 kids. They, let the kids grow up and eventually disappeared from the world and let the civilization flourish on its own. What was the situation there? Where 4 people created this city of Centauria, and they already had the admin console there, so why would they need a logout button? They had zero reason to log out in the first place, and if they wanted to, the emergency admin console was right there. Their task was specifically not to log out and stay in the simulation for all that time to cultivate that civilization. You add features as you need them. If you don't need the features, you don't add them, because that just bloats the software, Though Kirito speculates that dying in the game might also lead to logging out. Yes, that is correct. I mean, I will keep saying this quite a lot in this entire convo. What is screenshotting is not wrong. The problem is these kinds of people don't understand what they screenshotted in the first place. The 4th generation, yep, that is exactly what I described with the nervous system and the microtubules. Unlike usual VR games, there is no game menu in Alicization. Instead, a status window called the Statia window can be called out for any object and person by drawing a seal shaped like an alphabet letter C or S with one's hand and tapping the target. That's how you call up a system window, because this is a game. What do you do in previous games? You just tap on the object without writing the S. It's still the same mechanic, it's just more obscure in an attempt to make it less accessible for those who do not know what it is. Otherwise, in the previous games, you see an object, you tap on it, the window for that object comes up. Exact same mechanic. Oh yeah, here I am actually starting to have enough by random screenshots. Show us some of your cities in a stream one of these days. I actually can. I have City Skylines installed. I do play it from time to time. So I don't know if my old saves are still with me. They may be on my old computer. I will need to check that. How would he not know it's a simulation? They talked about it being a simulation so many times. You tell me, Truth. You tell me. I am just as confused as you are. I was trying to prove my scans too, but okay. They didn't prove anything. They were mostly all irrelevant. So then, how is Underworld created? Do you know, my little children? Do you have an answer for this very, very hard question? Aside from the fact that my answer is right below. Like, this is the absolute red flag you can have about someone not being able to comprehend what they consume. How is Underworld created? Kikoka took the seed, gave it to his staff, and made them create the world. Simple. But Soul works different though, so they got hurt and bleed just like the reality. You see? You start seeing the pattern, right? He keeps looping back to stuff I answered previously. Yes, they do get hurt and bleed because they don't have a pain absorption. They don't have the added protection mechanic, because that would defeat the purpose. But he keeps looping back to that. So then how it doesn't have a universe? Because at the beginning, they did not even create a proper planet. They just created this rhombus shaped world, well, not exactly a rhombus, a triangle down below, that's the world's end altar. Here, considering I am mirrored, I need to... Yeah, so that's the shape. Here's the world's end altar. Over here, human empire. The rest is dark territory. That was what they had created. And around this rhombus, they pretty much have a huge wall, much bigger than the everlasting walls that Quinella created. You can see the walls. In fact, I can show you the walls because I have a screenshot of them that I even showed in my Alicization Explained videos when they are running to the world's end altar. If I can quickly find the screenshot. Oh my god, so many Lycoris screenshots. Why do I have so many Lycoris screenshots? Because I use them for thumbnails, yes, but they clutter the scene so much. Okay, I do not have a prepared screen, apparently. So how about I just... 21? Okay, this one I can grab a screenshot. Please go silent so I don't get copyright claimed. Now, where are they running up the stairs? Oh wait, I don't need to find one where they're running up the stairs. I found it. Come on, create those elements. Right behind you, Kirito. There we go. Oh, that is such a beautifully drawn keyframe. You're gonna love this. I'm gonna have a normal sky screenshot as well, so you can clearly see the difference. Okay, now this. Capture perhaps? Yes, capture that window. So, if you look at this screenshot right here, you can see the background for Kirito is incredibly grainy, right? You can see even something like blocky going on back there. Can I properly pop this to give myself a little bit more screen real estate? That we need. There we go. So you can see the background is a little grainy. That is because that's a huge wall that people can't even see the top of, that blocks them from ever leaving the previously... Get smaller please, screen. I can't stretch up like this. So people can't go over it. That's literally a block for them to never leave the intended space of the underworld that's been initially created by Kikoka and staff. As a comparison, if you look at this screenshot that is looking the other way around, so this is not exactly towards Gabe, but you know, a little bit more diagonal rather than Kirito's bag, you can see the sky is perfectly normal. The background is perfectly normal. There is not that grainy thing because no wall can be seen towards that direction. And if you look at that, that's pretty much the wall that blocks underworlders from ever going away from their intended space. Obviously, once Kirito digs around with the simulation and creates fucking space fighters, people are gonna go over that wall and Cardinal will have to create stuff. But that wall is pretty much the blockage for people to not leave the intended play space. How did I get to this actually? Totally forgot what my initial point was. And then he just loops back to, I mean, there are multiple galaxies and innumerable stars. Yes, every single game has them. It's called an illusion. And as you can see, I just keep repeating it's a skybox because in my mind, that's the most comprehensible thing. That's the simplest way that you can tell a person who can't understand much. Even they can understand what a skybox is. But the person is refusing to understand what a skybox is to begin with, consistently, which is just infuriating, you know? I deal with a lot of kids every now and then. Even back in my skiing club, like, since I was one of the oldest skiers, I dealt with little kids all the time, and when someone wants to actually listen to what you have to say, when they have the potential to understand what you're trying to say, you can even speak with a 3-4-year-old kid, and it will be pleasant because they'll be interested. They are there to learn from you. They are asking questions and are actually listening to your answers. And then there's contrarians like this who just want to find ways to blow Kirito's strength out of proportion just so they can make them more OP. They are not actually listening to your answer. They are looking at certain keywords and try to fetch things that suit their fantasies, let's say. Why do you think they excluded Kirito's Razor Heart? I don't know, man. Ono cut out so many different things. Don't ask questions about Lycoris, please. I don't want to get derailed. This is already going much slower than I expected. How long has it been? Well, it's already been 50 minutes and we're still in the first quarter of the chat. Then I try to explain that it's a skybox. And then he goes, well, if it's a skybox, how Kirito and Star King are different? What am I saying? What are you saying? How did we get to this point? Like, where is the connection? Anyways, the difference between Kirito and Star King Kirito is that they are exactly the same, except the real Kirito has his memory suppressed. There is no other difference at all. And then he sent me this exact same screenshot again. Because fuck me, he doesn't understand. No, wait, Solas. Solas. Yes, my favorite sun is Solas. Solus is the sun, and sun is aka dwarf stars. Now he's making huge leaps here. And he's saying, you know, Solus is the sun. When we look at our sun, what is our sun? It's a dwarf star. So Solus has to be a dwarf star. Like, you see these sudden changes of what you call it, relations, I'd say, comparisons. Some of them are extremely technical, try to be extremely technical, that's not very technical, but some of them try to be extremely technical, and the person seems to be very proud of his very technical comparison there. And then you'll find the next claim he has is such far-fetched, has nothing to do with technicality, and when you try answering that with actual technical stuff, like I'm trying to explain what a simulation is prior to that, he just goes, oh, this is anime, this is fiction, go away with your technicalities. And then he goes, Solus is the sun, our sun is a dwarf star, Solus must be a dwarf star. He doesn't realize our sun is not special at all, Underworld's sun is not special at all, and there are different kinds of stars that act as their own solar system's sun. The person probably doesn't know differences between different solar systems or the stars. And the other planet near Solas, doesn't that make it vast? Depends on your definition of vast. Just one star and 2 planets around the same orbit? That's not very vast, is it? Even by our standards, that's not very vast. And then the guy keeps going, oh, you haven't said anything, I keep sending screenshots, you're sending me nothing. And I'm like, my dude, I'm explaining to you what is in your screenshots, because you clearly have no clue what you're sending me as screenshots. And then he takes that as me not countering anything. I don't need to send anything, the screenshots you're sending are correct, it's just you don't understand them. That's why people shouldn't make conclusions before reading the material. That's why people shouldn't make conclusions before understanding what they have read. Case in point. I'm glad this seems to be a nice stream. Are you guys having fun? Much more casual than I'm used to, so I'm stumbling here and there. But the fact that I can actually speak without having to play a game with the other half of my brain, it is much easier to do compared to actually playing a game and speaking. Oh, look at this. This portion is really fun. This portion is one of those big proofs that the person has no idea what imagery means. You see, he thinks Alice's voice actually reached the stars. And he's asking, if the voice reached the stars, how do those stars not exist? This is like, what's Will Smith's son's name? Jaden Smith? That's like Jaden Smith tier tweets right here. He was such a meme. And that was, oh my, I'm getting old, that was like 8 years ago when Jaden Smith's tweets was a meme. Anyways, he then screenshotted 2 more pages. In fact, it is the same 2 screenshots that he sent a while back at the beginning. On my left, Alice was in her golden breastplate and long white skirt with a whip and golden yellow long. White whip is Eldrie's whip, frost scale whip by the way. Nice attention to detail by Ricky. But you probably already knew that. And then it goes, I closed my eyes and listened as well. I listened to the words that ushered in a new era, carving them into my memories for all eternity. I have returned to you, I am here. That's Alice's speech after she sees the entire underworld from space. And it's like, her voice reached the stars, how do those stars then not exist? Like, when you know what it means, when you know it's imagery, how do you explain this to someone who doesn't understand imagery? That's my main problem in this entire chat. The person does not understand that this is figurative speech. Like, if he actually thinks voice of Alice reached the stars, then I will go ahead and ask, how does the voice reach a star? What does that mean? Isn't space a void where voices don't carry out at all? Even if it carries out, let's say it's fiction, even if it carries out, sound is quite slow. How long will it take for it to reach there? Sound is incredibly slow. Slower than the mecha dragons. Mecha dragons probably go multiple times faster than sound. They are fucking space jets. How fast does SpaceX go? Someone can type in the chat if you want. This is like such stupid stuff. And it's so stupid that you do not know how to respond. I just sit there and go, huh. It's really funny, man. I don't blame the anime-only watchers for misconceptions, but being a guy like Foxen, aka baiting, is just too much. No need to talk about Foxen when there's no Alicization content going on. He can't lie about Alicization when there is no Alicization. I don't blame anime-only watchers for misconceptions. To a certain extent, yes. But someone like this, who doesn't understand how Underworld was created, when Kikoka spent an entire episode explaining how Underworld was created, at that point you can blame the anime watchers if they don't understand it. It was served on a silver plate, at this point, if they don't understand how it was created, that's on them, that's not on the anime. Science got massacred in this chat. Yes, indeed. Oh, would you look at that? Are you even surprised this is once again an argument? How many times do I have to answer this? Yes is the answer of this guy. The stars were trembling just by the voice. Yes, because that makes a lot of sense. And that's why I keep going back to imagery. I still haven't talked about imagery to this guy, but even after I talked about imagery, he doesn't understand what imagery is and think. That's beyond me. Obviously, the stars were trembling just by the voice. It's the emotional effect. That's one of the most emotional things you can say. The speech was so strong that the universe trembled under the weight of those words. You see how poetic that is? And when I say poetic, this guy thought I was referring to the light novels being a poem, which I have no idea how you make that jump, but the description of it, the figurative speech, it's like poetry, you know, it's fancy, that kind of poetry. Not a fucking poem. Yeah, you see, I'm trying to counter it with his own logic at this point by being literal, because it says it was as if the planet was breathing somewhere around here. And I went, I don't think you understand that they are being poetic here, not literal, otherwise I have to ask, do you claim that Cardina, the planet, just breathed? The planet took a breath. And there, he saw the as though and correctly answered, no, they said as though. See, he's clever, he caught on to the word. The problem is, for this guy, for something to be not literal, there has to be a word explicitly stating it's not literal. That's not how this works. It's called imagery. It's figurative speech. You don't need to explicitly state something is figurative speech because that would be stupid. You do that for kids' books, the books you have for 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, even maybe 6, 7, 8. You gradually drop your usage of words like these to explicitly say it's figurative speech because well, a 7-year-old does not have the same intelligence as a 3-year-old, does he? And yeah, he's like saying things even he himself doesn't understand. The planet was reflected from the starlight when they trembled. I don't think that sentence even holds up. I don't think that sentence has a meaning. You see, here I'm slowly starting to realize his lack of awareness for figurative speech. These words were listened by Kirito, and Alice was talking at the start about ripples like water when Kirito shook the space. Ripples like water, I explained this at the very beginning of this video. I don't need to go there, do I? And he's back to skyboxes again. And now I'm explaining it's a simple shockwave from Laura and Shitika's perspective. And he's back to skyboxes again, because of course it is. It's the Underworld is not a video game screenshot again, because of course it is. As I said at the beginning, now we're just looping back. Now I can actually speed up the pace this stream is going at. And maybe look at the chat more. And would you look at that, there's a bad friend in the chat. Stop playing children's card games on motorcycles, Celeste. It's bad for your health. Sometimes anime-only watchers don't know yet because anime has cut out so many scenes for every episode, but light novel expands truth which never shown in the anime. Again, for things that are not explained in the anime, yes, you cannot obviously blame the anime-only audience because that's the media they consumed, and Alicization was definitely not the best at adapting the source material. There were so many things introduced without a proper explanation. But basic things, if people don't understand when it was already explained in the anime itself, then you can blame those people. Simple as that. It's nice to hear facts coming from an SAO fan that reads light novels and intertwines information from these books with real-life facts to debunk misconceptions. That is what I do. That is not what Celeste does. Screw you. I should play Yu-Gi-Oh! Again. I missed my Rainbow Dragon deck. It's all back in Turkey. All my cards are back in Turkey. You don't care if that kid starts spamming again because you talk about him? I'm pretty sure he will. I mean, so far he contacted me from 3 different accounts, not including his Twitter account, so that's 4 accounts. He also tried commenting on my videos after this first chat had concluded, after I banned him in the first chat because that was absolutely useless. So yeah, I say that's 5 accounts already. I expect more stuff from him in the future. If he wants to be featured in a video, because I enjoy doing this, but he needs to come up with some new statements, because I can't repeat all of this all the time. He repeated the exact same thing on 3 different accounts. That's not gonna make good videos for me. Oh, you see, he's expecting me to explain this again. Haven't I explained it like half an hour ago, somewhere around here? Yes, right here. Now where were we again? Too far. And there we go. What do you want me to explain? If you have questions, ask. Don't send random screenshots and go explain. Because that's exactly what he's doing. He's just sending screenshots and saying explain, and I'm like, dude, your screenshots are correct. What am I supposed to say? Am I the only one who's getting a headache from this chat? No, I got a massive headache as well. That's why I'm only smiling now. I'm so high consuming this chat. YouTube is gonna demonetize me. Oh, look at that! I explain Underworld is a simulation built with a game engine, and he goes, no, when Kirito shook the space, it was all described, innumerable stars reflecting, Stika's eyes widened. At this point, I'm not even sure if he has the further claims to make. I'm pretty sure we reached the full loop point, that he's just gonna say the same things over and over again so we can have some fun. Oh, then he's understanding this as the stars being scattered around, so that's like, I guess that's where the universe destruction stupidity comes from, isn't it? If the stars are scattering, that's like universe going into havoc. Maybe that's where it came from, I don't know. With people understanding things like these, anything's possible. Oh, Nightbot finally realized that we have an active chat. And then I asked this guy whether he knows how a shockwave looks, because I explained the ripple quite a lot of times at this point. Oh, you see? What do I have to explain, I ask. He says, well, thought you could counter it, so I sent those. No, there's nothing to counter. Your screenshots are correct. You're just not understanding them correctly. And seems the shockwave affected the stars. So I'm saying shockwave just blurred their vision with that ripple effect, you know? If you're looking down a puddle and you put a droplet into it and the ripple effect goes, and you see the bottom of that puddle wiggling because the water above is wiggling with that ripple effect. That's exactly what's happening. The shockwave is coming, the stars are wriggling because the shockwave is coming to you, blurring your vision. Whereas he goes on and understands this as the shockwave hit the stars and shook the stars instead. And here I go once again. Hey, people on Cardina didn't even realize because nothing shook. And then he goes, I said space shook. I never exclaimed universe shook. And I'm like... Oh, it's just beautiful. Can you imagine? We're not halfway there yet. We're past the first quarter, but we're not halfway there yet. And then we're back to skyboxes again. But it said it's not some video games with skyboxes though. Yes, but it's a simulation created with a game engine. It's not like Kikoka said something about the creation of Underworld. 30 pages. Oh, the amount of explanation this guy just ignores is incredible. So yeah, at a certain point he was going too much into details. I mean, overall, when you try to say something, he tries going into details, and then when you try going into details, he's like, this is anime. This is where it begins, where I say, where you're going into semantics so much. Where is that? Oh, there we go. If you're going into semantics so much, then I'm gonna say space cannot shake because space is a void. Nothing is there to shake. And then he goes, that doesn't how the novel describes it. That's not how the novel describes it. And I'm like, here I am explaining the difference between a game and a simulation again. A game is a simulation that is gamified. A simulation is a game that is ungamified. Very hard to understand, isn't it? For this person it is. And then it suddenly switches topic again. Kirito also defeats Subtilizer, which his body is made of complete void. No, it's not. Subtilizer is just devouring everything. He's the one who devours souls. That's what Subtilizer means. That's how he named himself, because he believes to be someone who devours everything. As a result, he's being compared to a black hole, which we'll get to. It's later down in the convo. We're gonna get there. Just how much of this is there? Way too much for a healthy person. Way too much. Hey there, Sadness Never. I'm actually surprised Gamerturk did not block them earlier. I'm a kind person, Celeste. You wouldn't know because you're a bad friend. Oh, you see, I tried explaining the difference between a game and simulation, and he responds, reality simulation based, but okay. Whatever the fuck that means. Oh, you see, I explained it once again. This is his attempt at quoting me. He doesn't know how to quote. I said Laura and HD saw a shockwave having a ripple effect on their own vision as the shockwave is approaching. Not that the scars were scattering around. And he goes, then what's up with the innumerable stars reflected thing? I'm actually gonna do this. Oh, it doesn't cover the entire thing. Just innumerable stars. Okay, innumerable stars are mentioned 7 times through this first chat. I did a Control F. You're not seeing it because it's on the top left of my cropped thing. But the mention of innumerable stars comes up 7 times in this entire convo. This is the 4th mention. And here I am explaining Subtilighter's body is not made of void. He just has a body like the void in regards to how it looks. Dark, pitch black, devouring things, etc. And then he goes, oh, what is this? That's a bit too small. I want to make that bigger, but... Oh yeah. That's the. Yes, that's Kirito lighting up a galaxy inside Gabriel Miller, the subtilizer. Oh, I scrolled up all the way up. Right. I can find it again with innumerable. Okay, fourth mention. Where is it? Okay, there we go. Now open this up in a new tab. Put that to the left side so I can have you see it. Oh, it is an actual live stream. Yes. Hey there, Gemu. Welcome. How are you doing? Let me pull this up now. Actually, what is this window capturing right now? Okay, I can change it over to this one, and you will see. There we go. Where am I supposed to go? Okay, there. It's a small opening here, so I'll stay. So he sent me this to show that subtilizer was void. And then we moved on to Kirito lighting up an entire universe inside Gabriel Miller, because Kirito can obviously do that. The void filling the inside of the enemy was like a black hole, but my own body was also swirling with a gargantuan gleaming galaxy created with the prayers of each and every human being. Now there are people who clearly see this is figurative speech. And then there's this person who thinks Gabriel Miller actually became a black hole, and Kirito created an entire galaxy in himself to counter that black hole. You tell me how to respond. What can you even say to this? Someone who thinks everything that's being said is literal. How do you say that it's not literal? I mean, you can say it's not literal, but he doesn't understand it. And then what else can you say? Sounds like someone's fanfic. No, it's not a fanfic. It's this guy's understanding of it. And yeah, I even brought it up that Shasta was talking about the exact same thing before his defeat earlier in War of Underworld, because Shasta was pretty much the first one properly consumed. Let's not put it that way. Shasta was the first one who properly saw the heart of Gabriel Miller, the soul of Gabriel Miller. You know, in the anime, he just goes with the full whirlwind, with the perfect weapon control of his weapon. And then he enters the void space and he's like, where the fuck am I? Oh my god, this is this guy's soul. Does he not have a soul? This place is so empty. And then he's devoured. Shasta was talking about the exact same thing there. The guy's heart, the guy's soul is like a black hole. It's like the actual word. To make it figurative speech for idiots. But yeah, this guy obviously does not understand this portion. And he continues, why does it say it's made of void, which is literally untouchable and intangible? But he isn't untouchable and intangible, is he? That's because he's not made of void. It's a comparison. Figurative speech. Fancy language. Imagery. Yes. Wait, what did I say actually? Kirito is just directing the combined incarnation of Underworld into Gabriel's brain. That's what's being referred to as the Void, aka Gabriel's wish to devour all souls, referencing an endless black hole, and the white galaxy clashing with that black hole, because it's all about that figurative speech. It's all about establishing that contrast, which a white galaxy works perfectly for that contrast, as any normal person can imagine. It refers to the combined incarnation of Underworld citizens, and the entire thing is figurative speech for those two huge forces clashing with that contrast. In fact, it just occurred to me, they even showed this instance in the... what was it? The first opening for War of Underworld or the second opening of War of Underworld? You see two blood-like things dropping onto the scene in one of the two openings. One is completely black, one is completely white, and then you see them slowly meshing together. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it back in my opening explained for whichever opening that was. But yeah, that's the exact same thing. Like, the opening showed it with two differently colored blood-like fluids, just for that symbolism, just for that. And that's actually the perfect comparison. I should have thought of this before. Written medium has figurative speech to explain these colorful things. Visual medium has all of these symbolism because it aims for your eyes rather than for you to imagine things already. It already has clearly drawn stuff. So it's certain things symbolize certain things in visual ways. That's the comparison for light novel and anime. But yeah, that's gonna be an explanation for another day for this person. I hope it doesn't happen because it's not gonna be fun. I explained all of this and he goes, but it's clear he was literally intangible and reflected any other's attack after that though. No idea what he means, but he hasn't been making much sense since the beginning, so this has to make any sense either. Oh, no, in the chat, I have not yet given up. I am continuing. We are still not at halfway point. I still haven't given up, but I am getting seriously frustrated. And Kirito light up the whole galaxy for a split second was good. That's not how you spell schön in German. Schön means nice, good. I think he's trying to say shown. I was gonna assume that was actually shonen, but we haven't yet went into the shonen versus isekai topic, which SAO hasn't been an isekai since the Aincrad arc. No, we're not giving up. We're losing more brain cells. Just let's keep going. Oh, you see, I'm actually getting frustrated here. Where did he light up the whole galaxy? What the fuck? Where did you get that from? Oh, he's quoting me again. His incarnation is to devour, is what I said, and he's like, in an endless void. I have no idea what it means. He said he took this literally from the novel. And that's his problem. He's taking everything literally from the novel. I'm like, you can't even see the real sky at that point. Night Sky Sword's perfect weapon control. It beams up, covers the entire sky of Underworld, just so it can absorb the incarnation of everyone around. There is no sky to be seen. Even if there was a universe, which there isn't yet, it's not visible because the sky is covered by the perfect weapon control of the Night Sky Sword. Night Sky Blade, according to the version. And he's like, no, it says his body was filled, not filled, it's filled with people's incarnation, lighting the whole galaxy. If the incarnation is filling Kirito, how does that light up the entire universe? Huh? Oh, this is so nice. Oh, he corrected field here. That's nice of him. Very cool. That's 1 out of 100 typos so far corrected manually. Oh, there's a novel correction as well. Okay, 2 out of 100. Very cool. That was really helpful. Oh, yeah. This is the point where I go, okay, buddy. It's obvious you don't understand figurative speech. Please check this Wikipedia article out. It has very basic concepts. Just read this first and then we'll talk, okay? Just make sure you got this going. Learn what imagery is. Really simple. Wikipedia page. A couple of sentences. It tells you what imagery is. Done. We're gonna be set. It's gonna be good. We'll get there. And he's like, no, I'm just gonna quote you versus battles wiki. The music's still going, right? It's set to loop. Okay, I wouldn't want to go with no background sound. This is so frustrating. Yes, it is. It's incredibly frustrating. My Discord subscription is expiring soon. Is Antho still in the chat? Antho, my Nitro is expiring. Send help. Discord just emailed me. And yeah, this link, if you're dealing with power scalers or these debaters, you'll get this link quite a lot. It's from this guy DMUA, who also surprisingly did not understand what he has read. And even the page, even the people who are part of the Versus Battles wiki, if you check the comments of this entire write-up he did, people are like, no, you did not understand what you read. And it's still there, it's still being used as a source by this Versus Battles wiki. But the people are like saying all kinds of stuff as to why what this guy said is wrong. And the mods are like, yeah, suggest an edit then. Until then, this is citation material. This is our baseline. This is what we're gonna use this as a source. And that's why Versus Battle wiki is shit. You're welcome. And then he goes, have you ever watched Overlord? Why do I need to watch Overlord? We're talking about SAO. And then he goes, his feats count. It's all about the feats. It's all about what they have done. Do you even know what they have done? Because it doesn't look like you do. Oh, and then he links me the SAO Fanon wiki for the description of a floodlight, instead of the actual SAO wiki, where we directly cite our sources from the books. He literally linked me the fanfiction wiki, which is what SAO Fanon is. It is for fanfiction to be put there. I actually didn't see he linked this when I was reading, because I was busy ranting about the Versus Battle wiki citation rare. I don't even... Why would you link a fanfiction wiki to prove your point? This is the stupidest thing. I wish I had seen this before, so I was prepared for a more reasonable reaction. Oh, this is absolutely stupid. Anyways, I'm still ranting about the Versus Battle wiki. I'm saying don't trust people with the 3rd grade reading comprehension skills, please, which is referring to this DMUA guy, which has written his own fanfiction to classify Kirito in one of the power brackets or something. They have different tiers. 3 of them I am featuring in the thumbnail as well. I looked it up. I went to the Versus wiki and looked up the tiers just so I can put words into the thumbnail. He says, I don't really trust Versus Battle wiki either. Why did you link it to me? But I was saying, Underworld universe is also infinite as well. We looped back. We looped back all the way to the beginning. It's infinite again. Not like I explained this 5 times already. We're back there again. Universe is infinite. Innumerable stars are there. There are galaxies. What the fuck is Overlord doing there again? All feats are count, just like Eins from Overlord in Other Worlds. promptly think, that's a capital I, fine by me, think Kirito is multi-solar system. And then I'm like, okay, I don't care about this power scaling shit, but for someone to be, I mean, common sense says if it's gonna be multi-solar system, there has to be more than one solar system, right? This is the base logic. And then I'm going all the way back to the beginning. Underworld can have a universe if it actually gets there. Because Cardinal adapts to what people do. If people don't explore the universe, there is not gonna be an universe. And yeah, now I go into the technicality as well. Because, you know, it can't be infinite because it's still a computer program. Computers don't work with the concept of infinite. And then he's going on about creating a galaxy with his body. And then the shockwave shaking the universe with 20% of its power. I don't understand the 20% portion as well. I'm gonna check something real quick. I am not exactly sure if a 20% is ever mentioned, but I know what it is referring to. They have an incarnometer, which measures the incarnation being used. I'm not sure if it ever says 20% though. Oh, right here it is. Yeah, Kirito arrives. Before Shitika's stunned eyes, the stars seem to waver like the surface of a pond struck to produce ripples. The shockwave, even the book is specifically talking about the shockwave when it's referring to the ripple. It's right here. The shockwave reached her dragoncraft, rumbling and vibrating it. Speechless, she glanced at the little gauge on the right end of the main visual board. It had instantly shot all the way to its top. Shitika had never seen the incarnometer swing as much as 20% at a time. They have a device that measures the level of incarnation being used, and it jumps up by 20%. It never says it starts from 0 and jumps to 20. It just says the incarnometer swings by 20% at a time. Like, these people are so clueless that they don't understand it's increasing by 20 doesn't necessarily mean 0 to 20. It doesn't necessarily mean he's using 20% of his power. It just says the device they are using to measure the incarnation just went up by 20%. That's it. That's where it comes from. And then Lorene goes, I don't believe it's such incredible incarnate strength, as though the entire universe is shaking. They have the as though right there for these idiots. For these people, Reki said it's as if the universe was shaking. It wasn't shaking. It was the shockwave that created a ripple effect on their vision. It looked like the universe was shaking because of this shockwave. What do you think about the coming 5th season? There is no 5th season coming. We first need to get a 4th season for a 5th season to exist. Alicization as a whole is season 3, if you don't know. That's what I'm referring to. Even my computer had enough and crashed the browser. Where did you get that elucidator? Can you tell me, please? I'm pretty sure I got it on eBay. But it's been such a long time that I don't even remember. Okay, we continue. Oh, I am very frustrated here, but I'm trying to tone down my words. Like, he did not light up a galaxy in him. It is a metaphor. Please understand. He doesn't understand. And then he goes, it says endless universe again. In the novel, it says endless universe. It must be endless. What else do we have? And then he goes, okay, he doesn't understand what I'm saying, as you can see from this sentence alone. I keep saying it's poetry, you know? It's artistic vision, it's figurative speech, it's colorful language, and he goes, then all the other novels are supposed to be taken as poetry? He's very confused right now. We're talking about topics beyond this level. And he goes, because in some other poetry too, he's actually thinking I'm talking about actual poems. He says, in some other poetry too, it describes what exactly happens. Now yes, some poems are literal as well. But we're not talking about poems. We're talking about authors' colorful language. The person doesn't know, sadly. I tried explaining it a lot. I will try explaining a lot as well as we keep going in the chat. But he doesn't understand. Hey there, Roku, welcome. War of Underworld is still season 3. It's part of Alicization. Yes, yes, yes. We mentioned that. A whole lot of people repeating the same things. Season 4 Untitled Ring is no longer, maybe after SEO Progressive and maybe OVA. No, Untitled Ring is definitely be a season 4. Unless we get the Moon Cradle adaptation, which we most certainly will not. Because Moon Cradle is not very popular. Or relevant to anything at all. But until we get a Untitled Ring anime, there's gonna be a whole lot of time. The story is 50% complete. We're gonna have to wait 3 to 4 years at the very least. It can be much longer for the story to be finished, and for an anime adaptation to exist, the story has to be finished properly. So you gotta wait at least 4 to 5 years for an anime announcement at best. Nope, War of Underworld is not the 4th season, it's the second half of season 3. Let's continue. Oh, you see? I'm trying to explain the Endless Universe again, right here. And now he's confused about the description of skyboxes again. And then he goes, everything was simulated as in reality. Yes, yes. Everything is simulated as in reality. I will hold my sword in a specific motion. And it's gonna start fucking flowing in a second. Wait. I don't know why it's not working. I thought it was real. I mean, Underworld was being simulated as in reality, right? Maybe the sword's broken. No idea what went wrong there. Hey there, Nick, welcome. He's on about everything being simulated as in reality, because yes, of course they are. And then he goes back to the stars trembled again. Once again, he goes back to the stars trembled. Untitled Ring is not before Moon Cradle. Untitled Ring takes place after Moon Cradle. In fact, the final chapters of Alicization, the epilogue chapter and the prologue chapter, already take place after Moon Cradle. Moon Cradle takes place 1.5 years into the maximum acceleration phase and takes about a week. And then the remaining 197.5 years, sorry, 198.5 years, we have no idea what happened. Because Moon Cradle has no relevance to anything and it doesn't have a proper conclusion and it's not very popular, and Ronye is the main character that most people do not like because she is a big boobed Shilika, which is not very interesting as a concept. In fact, many people have shown interest that they would be much more pleased with the story if Teeza was the main character, because Teeza actually has a how to put this without being too rude for Ronye. Teeza actually has a compelling story of moving on after Yu-Gi-Oh's memory. Ronye is just, why does Kirito-senpai not love me back and loves Asuna instead? Because yes, that is the one thing that doesn't fly well with the SAO fans, when your core main duo is Kirito and Asuna. You can't just have a character that most people do not like anyways go on about how Kirito loves Asuna and doesn't love her. That doesn't mesh well. Teeza should have been the main character of Moon Cradle, and that is my final opinion. I am willing to wait 10 years to see Kirito get his Elucidator. You're gonna have to wait more than 10 years, mate. You're gonna have to wait more than 10 years. Which one are you more excited about, Progressive or Untitled Ring? I am much more excited about Progressive. Oh, we're back to reaching the galaxy, the Trembles reaching the galaxy. He shouldn't have many more original ideas left. At this point, I'm pretty sure we're just gonna loop around. Yeah, it was based on Quantum Flux Light. There is no Flux Light. There is Quantum Flux, and there is a Flux Light. Those are two significantly different things that have nothing to do with each other. Oh yeah, I'm complaining about the fact that he has to learn what Imagery is. And he's like, oh, the space shooking thing is Imagery. Like ripples of water. Ripples on water and innumerable stars reflecting the surfaces. And then he sends me a screenshot. A sword filled with light of a star. It is shot out while drowning a dazzling trajectory. At the same time, one blade of Gabriel's 6 wings attacks from all directions. Every time light, and this is just very random. This has nothing to do with anything. The swords were filling with the light of the stars. No, they were not. They couldn't even see the stars because the stars were beyond the blanket put up by the night sky sword covering the entire sky. What it absorbed was the incarnation of everybody that was showing on that blanket up at the sky as if they were stars. And they're now moving on to absorbing stars territory, everyone. Have fun. Oh, yeah, this is a new one. Which is, quite the silly claim. I know, very surprising that it's a silly claim, I know. But it is one. And it says, seems like the abyssal horror was traveling at the edges of the universe on the other sides. Now, I don't know what on the other sides means in this context, but you're just gonna have to look at this portion here. The abyssal horror was traveling at the edges of the universe. No, abyssal horror does not travel at the edges of the universe. First off, universe does not exist. Secondly, humans either on Cardina or Admina cannot actually observe the entire universe. They don't have the technology. What they know is the abyssal horror has a specific orbit, much like the planets themselves. They cannot even track the entire orbit of the abyssal horror. They just know it arrives at certain time intervals. How do we know that they cannot track the entire orbit of the abyssal horror? We know this from Untitled Ring 4, which is why we have that warning up there as usual. From Untitled Ring 4. Before Shtika and Lorene were launched up to head for Admina, in fact they were on a mission, they were on a specific mission, to go over to Admina, but I will not divulge you in more spoilers than absolutely necessary. Before they were launched, Cardina Space Force contacted Admina Space Force because, well, the reason they contacted was because they wanted confirmation on the location of Abyssal Horror so that they would not launch into the Abyssal Horror. Why would they contact the other planet for a confirmation on the Abyssal Horror's location? That's because they cannot track the entire orbit of the Abyssal Horror. They need the other planet on the other side to confirm it is not nearby it either, because Cardina, the main planet, knows that the Abyssal Horror currently is not nearby, but it can be moving towards it. So it asks Admina to confirm that it is not moving towards the nearby area to cut anyone off, simply because they cannot track that far away. And Admina says, oh, everything is Gucci, don't worry, just launch it. And they have a reason for saying that, which is that spoiler territory that I am not gonna go into. The key point is they had to contact the other planet for a location confirmation because they did not have the ability to track it themselves that far away. And that pretty much confirms they cannot track the Abyssal Horror going to edges of the universe. So, what this means, again, the Japanese RAW uses the abstract word for universe/space, uchu, quite a lot in these portions of the story. What it means is, generally speaking, the space, the universe. You know, when you say the air is humid, you don't mean the entire atmosphere of the world is humid. You just say, this portion that I am exposed to is humid. That's the concept of abstract words. That's what's happening here. The moment they can no longer track Abyssal Horror, it's basically the edge of the universe for all intents and purposes because they can't track it. It may as well be the edge of the universe. That's how the phrasing comes over to that exaggeration. That's pretty normal. We have so much of those in our common day languages. I'm pretty sure every single language has these too, so sure, some languages have more figurative speech than others, but this exists in English too. I'm pretty sure it exists wherever you come from. I'm pretty sure it exists in your language too. It's not exactly exaggeration. It's on a conceptual level of vagueness, you know? Pretty much what's happening here. If they could track the fact that Abyssal Horror was traveling at the edges of the universe, that specifically, what would they do? They just chase it. If they know where it is, they can chase it and kill it for good. They can't because they can't track it. They don't know where it is. Simple as that. Okay, let's have a look at the chat a bit more. I was so confused at the end of War of Underworld Part 2. You should watch my Explain series if you are confused by the ending of War of Underworld Part 2. I explained quite a lot of it. Does anybody know if the first progressive movie is gonna air this year? They are aiming for a spring 2021 release, but they do not want to fix a date until they are certain they can air. They are basically trying to protect themselves and the fans from a possible delay due to the unpredictability of COVID. They don't want to announce a date and then suddenly have to delay the entire movie because Japanese government decided to put up new COVID measures. They're trying to be safe with it, they're trying to be responsible with it, and will probably don't know the date until it's actually quite close. Like a couple weeks close. Let's say it like that. Do you know when Kirito and Asuna part ways for her to join Knights of Blood? Floor 25. In fact, that is where we assume progressive is either going to end or have a huge time skip itself. Like up until that point, we're definitely getting the floor by floor retelling. Once that point happens, it's either gonna have a significant change of tone and focus, like maybe discover some other characters instead of following Kirito, or do an entire time skip just for the interesting floors. Something like floor 40, for example, is quite interesting. Okay, moving on. Personally, from my calculation, I'll just state out some though, but this is from me only. Kirito is motherfucking translation plus, since he... That is actually massively faster than light. I had to Google this term. I initially thought it was machine fan translation or something, because MTL is machine translation. But anyways, basically he's trying to claim Kirito is massively faster than light. Plus, I imagine that makes it more massively. Would have been MMFTL rather than a plus, but who am I to judge? Since he was blitzing Abyssal Horror... That's a new message. I imagine it's the same person. I just received a new message on Facebook. We'll see, we'll see. I am busy right now. Since he was blitzing Abyssal Horror, who was traveling at the edges of the universe? He didn't do that. He didn't do that. The books explicitly say Kirito could not chase the Abyssal Horror after it turned into small pieces every single time. Books are very specific about it, and I'm pretty sure I can find it. You guys consider this a break from the brain dead chat? While I search for the exact point where it is mentioned. Okay, here it is. The Star King, right here, physical release, Yampress edition 264 is the page. Right all the way bottom. The Star King was said to have treated all the god beasts with respect, but when he heard reports of large passenger dragoncraft destroyed on the way to Admina, he attempted to destroy this particular creature, but even the king, whose powers were greater than an entire army's, could not completely destroy the Abyssal Horror. Through careful observation, they learned that the space beast orbited between the two planets on a fixed speed and trajectory. It's orbiting between the two planets with a fixed speed and trajectory. The best they could do to minimize its threat was to restrict interstellar flight so that they could safely avoid its path. I'm pretty sure it should be mentioned that it always ran away. Is it when they actually start fighting? Oh, yes, yes, yes. That's when Kirito and Asuna actually destroy the thing. That's when it's mentioned it starts running away. And then Alice comes in. Yes, right here. So Kirito uses the release recollections, both of them. Then Asuna comes in, hits it with a fucking meteor. And they go, "Did they beat that monster?" She whispered, her voice trembling. Shtika is speaking. And then she goes, "Oh no, not yet." Her second craft pilot always seemed to keep her cool and spot things a moment before Shtika did. The "Oh no, not yet" is from Laura, obviously, that's why it's in italic. The fragments of the abyssal horror, which had appeared to be obliterated and burned into nothing by the explosion, were now moving. Each one was only a portion of a single mel, which is a meter in Underworld terms, in size, tiny pieces of the original whole. They wriggled and wandered away like a swarm of flies. According to the records, the Star King had pushed this piece to this point too. This is page 272, by the way, physical release Empress. But he was unable to eradicate all the thousands of pieces of the abyssal horror as they escaped, so the beast fled to the ends of the universe to escape until it could heal its wounds and attack the stellar root again. Now, obviously, this goes back to the previous portion where I said the edges of the universe. I'm pretty sure in this case, edges of the universe was used by the fan translation, whereas the Empress went with, what was that? To the ends of the universe. That is the abstract word universe. It just says the space around. It basically says it went to somewhere we could no longer track. Remember, its orbit goes through between Cardina and Admina at some point, and then just keeps going around. At a certain point, their tracking ability goes away. If they were able to track it, do you think Star King and Star Queen would just let it wander right off the left to one of their interstellar routes? They wouldn't, would they? If they knew where it was, they would chase it, they would obliterate it, and they'd be done with it. Simple as that. Refuting crazy statements with a quote from the book. Dude, the guy making these claims, he refutes himself. He just doesn't understand he's refuting himself. That's the entire reason for this chat. By the way, do you know the name of the song in War of Underworld episode 22 when Kirito and Asuna talking to Kikoka? I don't know, I need to check. Which I am not gonna do now, so don't hold your breath. With SEO progressive, I presume after floor 25, there will be multiple floors covered in the same volume. Not necessarily. Again, this is all speculation, but in my opinion, once we reach floor 25, either the storytelling is gonna completely shift, or there's just gonna be a massive time skip until the next important point in the story. Okay, we continue. He goes... Oh yeah, I just explained this much. So, right? Star King Kirito, multi-solar to galaxy. No. No. It's a single mini solar system. It's Solus and its 2 planets rotating around it. That's 3 celestial bodies. I don't know about your stupid tears, but if there's one sun, it is not multi-solar. Possibly multi-galactic with full power, but I think that's wank, so galaxy level is nice. It is also stupid, because it's wrong. Oh, we suddenly shifted topic? Is this some other time? Oh, this is like an hour after, because he didn't receive a response from me. I gave up and didn't respond. An hour and a half after comes with this one instead. Bruh, I've been redoing again and I got it now. Kirito can absorb resources. When he absorbs those 10,000 people incarnation, aka the people hopes, prayers, and stars are not stars. That's figurative speech. They show as if they are stars because that's easy for the human mind to visualize. That's a good description. That's a good that's good imagery. That's the entire point. He went up to the night sky, sweeping, commanding the stars in the night sky. First off, there is no night sky. It was daytime when they were fighting. And then the night sky sword covered the entire sky like a blanket. So it would absorb the incarnation of everyone using incarnation at that point. We talked about this time and time again. Do I need to say it again? In other words, he absorbs the star resources, which is smaller than the real stars. Now he is... As stupid as the claim is, I am amazed by this person's tenacity to make further assumptions on his stupid claims. How does he know they are smaller than the real stars? If anything, that looks like a bigger star. You're seeing the screenshot, right? That looks bigger than a star. If we're gonna make such assumptions, they look like bigger than the real stars. Just saying. He was then making them smaller than it is, and then absorbs its spirits. So wait, are those then... Does he think they are stars? Or... Because stars don't have spirits. This entire... He starts with, I got it now. And every single word he spouts is like everything breaking even further than it previously was. Oh, absolutely beautiful. Can you check the episode, please? No, I cannot do that now. I have other objectives, mainly having fun with this entire chat now. Is the synthesis ritual Quinella's creation, or did she just use commands that already... She used commands that already exist. The ritual, in that sense, is basically a word for chaining different commands back to achieve a certain goal. So the entire process, she calls it the ritual, the synthesis ritual. Like, you've seen it in the Yu-Gi-Oh episode too. It has to, for example, start with remove core protection. Because if the person doesn't say remove core protection, Quinella cannot go ahead and start having access, then adjust memory locations, etc., all those kinds of stuff. That's what she does during the synthesis ritual. Once she has access to... think of it like copying and pasting on your own PC. You go over to a directory, you hit Ctrl-C, and then you... I shouldn't go into command line terminologies, but essentially change your directory, go over to your different directory, your new address, then do a Ctrl-V for paste. So that process, that 4 or 5 commands that you have put there, that's a string of commands in a specific order. That's your copying and pasting ritual. Think of it like that. It's exactly the same. If you don't help me for the song, I'll be using Starbar Stream on you. Okay, go ahead. I tried using Warple Strike a bit ago. It didn't work, so you may want to be careful. Is the girl at the end of SAO Volume 21 related to Axel World? Go check our Sword Art Online Wikia podcast number 1. We have talked about it over there. And we further talked about it in podcast number 2, so that's where you should be looking at. I'll be reading SAO Volumes 1 to 18 again. Good luck. Watch them again. Good luck. Do you think AG and Yuna will appear in Untitled Ring? Maybe the appearance of Strea, since Reki wanted to make her canon? Possibly. We talked about that in SAO Wikia podcast number 2. Not about Strea, but AG and Yuna, yes, because there has been certain usage of terminology that strongly suggested they would eventually be involved, tying things into ordinal scale, which has not happened yet, so we are patiently waiting for that possible connection to pay off. It has not yet. But yeah, check that SAO Wikia podcast number 2 we did with Ximenas. Didn't mean for the star resources then Spirit. Probably did, I don't know, the guy is not making much sense. But again, they are not stars in the first place. So, there's that. It still falls apart. Hey there, Venus! How are you doing? We're just having fun with Stupid. Oh yeah, and there were stars to be shown in the night sky too. That is not the night sky. That is the daytime sky, covered up by the perfect weapon control of the night sky sword. They are fighting sometime during daytime, sometime in the afternoon, not even afternoon. The sun didn't even start setting yet. He was also feeling the red sky with the night sky as well. That's a pretty good feat up there. No idea what the fuck he's on about. I mean, he turns the red into night sky. He doesn't turn the red sky into the night sky. That is not the night sky. That is the night sky sword covering the air to suck up the incarnation of people. Simple stuff. Oh, and then yeah, he creates the universe again. That wasn't a poetry. Yes, it wasn't. It's a light novel. It's just figurative speech. It can be literally taken because it was happening. No, it wasn't. And then this inner monologue sequence with Yu-Gi-Oh. He goes on to say, oh, it's around them as well. It's real. My dude, that scene is not real. Even in Underworld, that's the representation of an inner monologue. Levels of intelligence. I still don't respond because that's a mess. This was Friday 7:52 p.m. when it ended. I don't respond. Saturday 9:40 a.m. Hey bro, I got something. This is how quantum works. And now insert Tony Stark meme about when he became a... What was that meme again? You know what meme is. When did you become an expert on nuclear astrophysics physics or something? Astrophysicist stuff? The guy thinks he knows everything now. He found this picture which has quantum stuff written all over it. And now he knows what quantum flux is. He's talking about SAO quantum flux. Not exactly sure what the SAO quantum flux is. He tries tying it into flux lights and calls them quantum flux lights. Flux lights, my bad. Which is not the term, he doesn't seem to realize. Shut up, Gamerturk, there are stars and Kirito is God who created an entire universe. Yes, he created an entire universe in Gabriel Miller. This is the key detail. You can't miss up on that. Yes, that's pretty much it. Ponchos. And then... When is this actually? This is... Yeah, this is about 10 minutes after because I still haven't replied. I also heard that SAO Underworld is not made by human, but born from human souls and consciousness. This is beautiful. Beşiktaş is better than Fener? Go check the Super League table, mate. You tell me who's higher. You tell me. Go sleep, Khan. I'll sleep when you sleep, Celeste. Anyways, as explained before, they took about 2 episodes for Kikoka to explain how they created Underworld using the seed. And this guy then goes, I also heard that Underworld is not made by human but born from human souls and consciousness. This is either from Yui's speech or some other place where figurative speech is obviously involved. They are like, Underworld is the culmination of all this stuff. I'm pretty sure they haven't ever referred to Underworld being born by this. They refer to artificial floodlights being born by this, the entire research. I mean, I do remember Yui is talking about all this stuff to convince others. But yeah, this is just pure bullshit that proves the person has no idea about context and imagery. Even when he knows what the context is, he doesn't understand what's being said. Okay, then, oh, I read until here, right? Where the NPC in there are all real life copy soul, which makes everything real, just like some isekai. First off, NPCs are not real life copies of souls. The artificial floodlights are created as follows. Kikoka went ahead and grabbed a dozen infant babies, newborns. They copied their empty floodlights just so they would get rid of all that bias that may be there, because the infants were newborn and had some experiences maybe, which they haven't. Kikoka mentions that in the books as well, which is not in this book. It's somewhere in Alicization Running or Turning. Kikoka specifically says even the dozen babies did not really have differences in their floodlights, but just for safe measure, we averaged them to get rid of any kind of possible bias. And then they created that one floodlight archetype. And that's what they used to create the new floodlights based on. Basically an empty floodlight that they are feeding certain personality traits based on the parents, and then letting the floodlight learn by itself. Pretty much it. So this portion is also wrong, I know, very surprising, which makes everything real. That is not what makes everything real. The world is still not real, just like some isekai. The definition of isekai is that the characters are not in a real place. Since the spectators of Underworld can't interfere with the works in Underworld, they actually can, they choose not to. Because they have a goal, and their goal is let the civilization evolve without their intervention. How do you make so many mistakes in a single sentence? And then here's some thought. He can think. Underworld and reality are separate spaces. They aren't just virtual worlds. Well, reality is not virtual. I'll give him that much. Reality is not a virtual world, yes. Underworld is. It is explicitly stated to be a virtual world, as you guys have stated in the chat, as I have talked about countless times so far in this beautiful stream that I am having a lot of fun with. VR worlds are simulations, while Underworld was a reality born from the quantum flux. Except the guy cited Underworld is a VR simulation page about 3 or 4 times in this chat so far. Remember that page where he said Underworld is not a video game. Underworld is a VR simulation. And now he's on about the quantum flux. It's a reality born from the quantum flux. He's talking about multiverse. And he started with fucking, I got it, man. He started with the sentence, I got it. He got more than he can chew, apparently. It's made by the Light Cube cluster that was the span of every VR MMO world out there and doesn't even exist in the networks. He doesn't know what the Light Cube cluster is. And this makes it very clear. He thinks Light Cube cluster is some kind of magical device that uses quantum technology that created this multiverse that is Underworld. No, Light Cube cluster is just a USB hub where the USBs are the light cubes that hold the information of individual souls. Incredible. And then he continues, Wrath is not connected to the satellite. Wrath is connected to the satellite. They are a military base. That's why they have a satellite connection. And no, only a few people can actually access Underworld, and one of them was Star King Kirito, the one who gave the address. Star King Kirito did not dive back into Underworld. Star King Kirito just gave Kayaba the locations, specific locations, so they could type out the IP address in a secretive manner. What's your thoughts on this? I would love to rip my chest out, grab my heart and squish it in my heart. But sadly, we're not in a simulation, we're in the reality. It's... And Underworld is runs by imagination, where Thing says imagination is the strongest force, so doesn't that make it different? No? Not exactly. It's not run by imagination, it's run by memory data. And here I am explaining about 4 hours later. I just can't stand idly by as this idiot says so many stupid claims. I try to explain everything, how the night sky sword covers up the sky, how the incarnation shows up of all the people as if they're stars. Then talking about imagery again, because he just does not understand. I even explicitly say imagery is about describing things in a visual and colorful manner by drawing similarities. This is middle school literature knowledge. That's where they teach the concept of imagery. It's also one of the most powerful tools of allowing the reader to properly visualize concepts in written form. That is as explicit as I can be, which I'm highlighting because we'll get back to that. Come on, Truth, is this the right time to remind me of that? Please remind me sometime else, thank you. By the way, this stream needs to be saved for future so I can replay it. Yes, this stream will be saved, don't worry. It's just gonna have a whole lot more ads because it's been 2 hours and 20 minutes. Oh my god. We're at the halfway point of this entire chat. Please become a channel member if you like this content and use Super Chat to help my channel stay alive. Please. Please do, Siggy would love this. Why is Siggy not here? Invite Siggy. Celeste, you're tasked with inviting Siggy. So he suffers this stupidity along with me. I know he likes suffering just like me. Why was it so important to get Alice to the Walls and Altar when Quinella almost got through the admin console in the Axiom Church Chamber? Simple, because Worlds End Altar is the main admin console. It's the emergency escape hatch. Everything else is currently on lockdown because the Ocean Turtle is under attack. Why not just ignore him? I have no answer for that. By the way, at this point in the chat, I had no intention of turning this into a video ever. I realized I can turn this into a video / live stream after this entire debacle was over. Do you think that we'll ever see an end of Stark and Kirito? Or does he have any more importance in the anime? He's still observing the situation with Kayaba. We don't know anything else. Surprised, this has been going on for 2 hours now. Are you really surprised? This much idiocy in a single bowl. Can we consume that in 2 hours? Oh my god, that's something. What notification is that? Hey, Celeste! Thank you. When are we subbing those VTubers? You tell me. Simp too many VTubers, so I'm broke now? No, you're not broke. Your arm is broken. Those are two different things, Celeste. English has those fine nuances. Just your arm that's broken, not you. Where was I in the chat? I completely forgot. Time to copy strike the live. I will copy strike your other arm. The funniest thing is this stream exists because of one single person. Yes. That is actually the case. Just halfway there now. How much is it? Okay, let me copy this so I can instantly come back here with a Control F. I'll show you how much it is. And then I blocked this person. He started messaging me from his friend's account. And then I blocked that. He started messaging me from his other friend's account. Which I blocked off quite fast. I had enough at this point. And if I'm assuming correctly, this is gonna be the same person. Yes, this is the exact same person. So, where's that ban button? Okay, I don't want his Facebook name being shown so people don't go witch hunting. So give me a second as I drop the screen capture. Contact dot span from, and there we go. Okay, I can bring that back up again. Now I can F. Oh my god, how is an entire sentence that I copy pasted show up 3 times? Okay, one is my quotation, one is his quotation of my quotation. Okay, that actually makes sense. Let's see. Where am I? Okay. And here we are. And then I explain a whole lot of stuff. And he's like, oh, that's reality manipulation then. You see how he tries catching on to something when he understands it as, oh, this makes my favorite character even stronger than I thought he was. Now he catches on to something. The problem is he doesn't understand what he's catching on to, so that's not correct either. Okay, we can actually skip these portions because it's all the skybox talk again. Oh my god, so much chat. When did this come? Simple solution, Gamerturk should become a VTuber so Celeste would donate more. I am Khan Chan Chan now. That's my new name. Isn't that Celeste's favorite VTuber? Chama-chan-chan-chan. Thank you, Gamerturk, for doing this livestream and answering my stupid questions. It's 1:45 AM here in India. Love from India. Love from Austria too. Yes, the chat is long, I know. How can one person be so determined to legit tell just stupidness to an expert? I'm not an expert. I'm just someone who knows how to open a book, how to read English, and have graduated from middle school, so I know what imagery is. I'm not an expert. I just know how to read. Is Celeste being a good friend yet? Celeste, are we playing Heroes of the Storm this weekend? Okay, let's continue. As I said, skyboxes. Thank you, Owen, thank you. Sorry it's not much, but here for your troubles. You never have to apologize that it's not much. That's the best way I can put it. So, thank you very much. Sel, you better say yes. We should ask Kibia too. Oh, that notification arrived late. Hey, Kion, thank you. Please go to McDonald's and use this $5 to buy something there. I am not sure if McDonald's are open on the street right now. We should be still under lockdown. We can leave home for physical and psychological relaxation, which means you can go out whenever you want just to take a walk. But the shops should not be working. Some fast food / restaurants are an exception. They can still keep running and you can get takeaways from them, but not sure which ones are open. But thank you, I appreciate it. Should I reply to your questions seriously? Can't you play it single-handedly? How hard can it be? You should try. What time is it for me? It's 9:20 PM. Hey Gamerturk, if you really consider doing the whole VTuber shtick, no, I do not. You can get an OC waifu for your channel. Celeste, will you be my OC waifu? Thank you. Was the admin console how Quinella spoke to our contact? Yes, that was the admin console. You cannot establish a connection to the outside via a command, but the outside can contact your Floodlight from the outside. They can open a channel. You can't open a channel from the inside unless you have the admin console. Oh, I should do more of these streams. Thank you, Texera. Thank you. Texera or Texera? I'm pretty sure the pronunciation is different between two languages. Is that actually showing up with the alternate that I set up? I do have different text for different amounts of donations. Now, I don't expect anyone to go for a $50 or above donation, but if anyone does, it has a different version than 10 and above and 1 to 10. But it's the same animation. I don't want to mislead anyone. That's all I'm gonna say. That's actually more than enough to take care of me for an entire week. I don't eat much, you know? I am a very economical person. But this is taking way too long. Let's go back. He goes on about Kirito was affecting it, and that's why Kirito has reality warping powers, if that was the correct word. Somewhere up there. And I'm trying to explain, my dude, quantum stuff that you hear in fiction, it is actually fictional quantum stuff. They don't have relations to real stuff. This is still my quotation. He just doesn't figure. He figured out how to do normal quotations, but 2 paragraphs in a row he can't. Hence why I said it was based on that. Well, the thing it's based on, it's meaningless. It's technical mumbo jumbo. That's not something to be based on. Fictional stuff. And I'm like, that's reality manipulation at its best. And I'm like, where the fuck did that come from? And he goes on about power of imagination is via reality warp. And I'm still trying to respond to his initial bullshit storm that he wrote after I didn't respond to him for a while. I'm still at the they can't interfere with Underworld, and I'm like, they can, they just don't want to, because they want the civilization to flourish on its own. In fact, they have interfered by sending Kirito in there with his memories blocked to not fuck shit up. Because we all know what happens when he goes in there with his memories intact. That sure worked out. The point is, they have the power to interfere with the world, they just don't want to interfere with the world. No, seriously, this was a perfectly profitable stream and this is more than enough. I don't want to prevent anyone from using more super chats, but I am perfectly happy with this for the duration of the entire February month. Take care, Celeste. Try not to play children's card games on your motorcycle. Make a $50 donation animation with Klein dabbing Poe, who is a tree. Dude, it costs a lot to actually get people to do stuff. Commission people, it's really expensive. That's basically what I'm using the Patreon and member fees for. Basically to get dialogue sprites for my Story of the Past videos. From Jeng and Ashley. Oh, yeah, I got mad here because I was answering things one by one and he was interfering every single one, turning things into another shitstorm, and I'm like, if I'm answering 50 unrelated paragraphs, you wait and listen, you little... the bird meme, you know? I love that bird meme, I need to use that more. Here I'm explaining what the light cube cluster is, which I have already explained here. In fact, I explained all of these because I addressed that entire big chunk of dialogue during that it happened. Yes, Star King is not in Underworld. And he just can't stop. He said okay right here when I said just stop and wait for me to answer all of this before you write more stuff. And he's like, oh, what about this? Wasn't Kirito sent there to do work since they can't interfere with real life? They can't interfere it from real life, but if they interfere with real life, people inside are gonna notice that some weird shit is happening. That's why the only time they interfere from the real life is when they actually delete memories of people. And losing memories is ingrained into the culture of Underworld thanks to Emperor Vecta. With all the Lost Child of Vecta stuff. That's why, that's the only real tampering they do with the tools they have in the real world. Okay, this is where I say I'm done with my responses to that big chunk of dialogue. Bird meme. Is this bird meme? I'll show it. It's way too funny. It just gets me laughing every single time. This is my entire attitude starting the second day. I'm just gonna keep this on the top right. Get rid of these two sources so they don't stay. A big chunks of dialogue. Is Quinella's floating wind elements or gravity? She is not manipulating gravity. She's either using wind elements, which is the most likely option, or using incarnation, which just reverts back to using wind elements. You use wind elements via incarnation. So yes, it is wind elements, however you look at it. He's still trying to clinch onto that reality warp, just to make Kirito more powerful than he really is. By the way, when you see things like these, again, it's just that he doesn't know how to quote properly. This portion is my quote as well. And he's saying, so is Starking Kirito and Kirito different persons since the other one is stuck in Underworld and a copy soul? How am I answering that? I don't know. I'm here explaining how Underworld works now. It has a proper simulation code base and the main visualizer, and to save up on resources, the main visualizer uses the floodlights, the artificial floodlights, the light cubes, as additional processing power by taking their memory data as a, you know, streaming that content rather than processing it with the code base. So that leads to what you call incarnation, because when shit's happening, main visualizer is just pulling the memory data to make certain things happen. But if that memory data coming from the floodlights, from the light cube cluster, from the individual light cubes is tainted, main visualizer doesn't care about that. It just takes that memory data and uses it as it streams the content. The problem is that's not what's there on the simulation code base. And that's why incarnation is temporary. Things you can achieve with incarnation can be lasting. For example, if you destroy something with incarnation, your incarnation is gone in a couple seconds, but the thing you destroyed remains destroyed because that's an entirely different layer. That's not something that you conjured up, that's something you destroyed with the thing that you conjured up. So that thing has happened, but the thing you conjured up is not real, so it disappears. The thing you destroyed remains destroyed because it was destroyed by something, doesn't matter what. I believe that covers as to how the main visualizer and the codebase works. Once the codebase catches up with what's going on in reality, the incarnation just disappears. Unless you feed a continuous wave of constant thing. I am actually getting tired. Almost 3 hours of full speaking. That's not actually much easier than the usual stream. Definitely less straining on the head, because I don't have to pay attention to a game. But yeah, it still There's Destiny music. There should not be any Destiny music. I'm pretty sure I added absolutely no Destiny music in the soundtrack. Yep, there is no Destiny soundtrack in this playlist. Either you were hearing the Fatal Bullet soundtrack or the Alicization Lycoris ending soundtrack. Isn't that what happens to Asuna when she uses her goddess ability, but 1,000 times? No. That is not what happens to Asuna with her goddess ability. The thing is, Statia's goddess ability is a bit different. It is used via incarnation, but it is actually a programmed incarnation that requires you to process all the data yourself. So something that exists, you take it, you process it yourself, and then send it to the code base as a legit thing that is programmed in. The problem is, human brain should never take that much things, process it, and then output it. That's not how the thing is designed for. So Asuna gets massive headaches when she uses the native ability of Stacia. The regular incarnation is not humans processing real data in Underworld. It's them creating their false memory data, and then the main visualizer just reads that. The person itself is not particularly doing anything. In Asuna's case, she's taking all that data, she's processing it, and she's giving it back as a legitimate input. And that's why it hurts so much for her. That's why it's so tasking. And now he's like, he's back onto the literal or figurative topic. He still hasn't understood it. Shit's happening. Oh, remember this statement? Because he was going into semantics, I went into semantics and said, space cannot shake because space is a void. To shake, you need things to be there. And then he goes, oh, no, I can go into semantics when I want. You can't. Goku does it, so Kirito can do it as well. Fuck you. Because that's exactly how discussions work. You can't have your cake and eat it too. We're talking about if Star King is a different entity or not, which completely depends on your perspective. Here, that is actually Axel World spoilers from Graphite Edge's story. There is a developer A and developer B fighting each other with a fluctuating light in the background. In Axel World, we never get the context for this, so since it has absolutely zero context, I don't see mentioning this as a spoiler. He asks if leader B connected with Axel World. Now, I don't know what leader is, or that, I'm gonna say lider, but leader is Turkish in the imagery provided. I don't think he realizes that screenshot is actually from Axel World illustrations. So yeah, that is developer B from Axel World. I give him some information about that. Surprisingly, he has absolutely zero complaints about the information I provided about the developer B. Because that doesn't go against his faith, his religion, that the one and only Kirito is more powerful than everything else. And he will clinch on to everything that doesn't contradict that. So he has no issues with the information I provided about the developer B. And then he's back to, and then Kirito shook the space with 20%. Oh, we're back here again. He's still, I take this as the whole space in the Underworld shook. And I'm here like, I'm absolutely going crazy. The things that are being done are being done. However, again, imagery. Things being described with imagery is not the exact thing that is actually happening, because the authors use a lot of imagery. Imagery is not a factual statement. Imagery is a colorful and fancy description for people to be able to visualize things in their minds. You tell me, is that hard to understand? It shouldn't be hard to understand because they teach this in middle school. If it was hard to understand, they would wait until high school or university, literature majors. This is not a hard concept. And thank you. I admire my passion and commitment as well. Thank you. Was the Silvery Eternity created in real time? It's not explicitly stated, but I'd imagine no, she already had the Silvery Eternity. She just summoned it. Because we don't see her creating Silvery Eternity in that scene. I don't remember how the anime adapted the Quinella versus Cardinal scene in that flashback. She may have created it back there when Cardinal created a staff for herself. Not sure though, I don't wanna give a wrong impression without checking. I am Turkish. I love how this guy believes more in Kirito than Kirito ever did in himself. One person who passes middle school is one saved Gamerturk brain cell, indeed. And there's too many people who don't make it out from middle school, apparently. Okay, let's come back here again. Oh yeah, I talked about some more United Ring spoilers. And he's like, don't pose sealed eternally? I don't know, did you see his body? I didn't. Something must be happening. Yes, this is the portion where he doesn't even read what I have written, and he sees the bolded out word imagery, and he thinks, oh, this guy says incarnation, and he's like, that works like reality warping. My dude, this has nothing to do with Underworld. This is how you write literature. This is how you write a line novel. This is how you write a novel. This is how you write a story. This is how you write. Imagery is a real world term. We're not talking about incarnation. We're not talking about reality warping. That's a writing style. Pretty sure I responded to that somewhere here as well. Oh yeah, here he goes, isekai characters are more powerful than shonen characters. You know, the characters that win with the power of friendship, believing in heart of the cards. I'm talking about what happened to Poe, I'm talking about the developer B again, and the context of the scene, because he obviously has no fucking clue. When did he have any? And he's like, Neurolinker is Neurolinker created by Kirito. He like has zero clue, and he's perfectly fine asking people questions, even questions that have no answers yet. And if I said yes, he would have absolutely zero issues. He would just take it for granted. He would believe everything I would say if it's glorifying Kirito, no matter how stupid it is. But the moment what I say is something that doesn't glorify Kirito, he's like, I didn't hear what you said. Kirito shook the universe with 20% of his power, right? Oh yeah, here I said, this is quite funny. He's so insistent on reality warping that I go, they aren't warping reality, they are just warping the simulation. And he's like, yeah, it's the same. Oh, that's just beautiful. Ihr kennt ein Deutscher hier? Na? Ich bin kein Deutscher. We have one German on the channel that was a frequent quite a while ago, but she hasn't been appearing on streams for quite some time. We do have quite a lot of Polish people though. I recall Chudelkin said he would turn Yujo into a horse if he forgot to call Chudelkin by his title. Is that something he can do, or was it more of a threat? He can potentially do it. I mean, you can turn actual humans into swords. So I'd say that's pretty much the same logic. That's just transforming the physical body of someone into something else. I'm pretty sure he would be able to do that. He wasn't bluffing. Well, he was bluffing. He wouldn't do that, but he could if he wanted. Genshin Impact co-op streams when? Not anytime soon. I'm done with Genshin. He's still bringing Overlord into it. I have no idea why. And he's saying reality warping doesn't have to affect reality. I don't know, man. It sounded like the term had it natively in it, didn't it? I mean, reality warping. You are warping the reality. Sounds like it has to be warping the reality to be reality warping. Fucking hell. Oh, this is something new. It's been 10 minutes since we didn't hear someone claiming Kirito came back to life after Kayaba killed him. Kirito never died, everyone. That was his inner thought visualization. He was mirroring episode 1 of the Aincrad arc, where Kayaba does his announcement and Kirito imagines the blood on his finger, and then imagines getting hit by a boar, and imagines getting thrown back and shattering into polygons. They use the exact same animation as a nice callback to that first episode. When Kirito was stabbed by Kayaba, he again imagined being launched back and shattering into polygons. And that was his imagination. That never really happened. Kirito did not die and return to life. Because a lot of Polish light novel readers are fans of SAO. Yeah, the Polish light novels were quite ahead for quite some time actually. So I'm not surprised. Hello, I finally made it to one of your streams. You made it to quite the unusual stream, by the way. I usually play games, don't do casual streams like this. Where we are? Okay, we are in the final quarter, and I'm pretty sure I can speed through this portion. But I don't think I have enough time at this point to go through the second chat. It is shorter than this, but it's still quite long. So let me finish this first chat, and maybe we'll do another one sometime down the line. I don't think I have to, because he just keeps repeating the same thing. But yeah, this one right here was new, so I explained it. And I'm like, Imagery! For the 100th time! Please just understand it. And he is like, understand it, imagery. What is it? Illusion? It literally stated he died. He doesn't understand those two are different scenes. Oh, right, this was a misconception he had. This was my response, of course. He thought Kirito was the one who made the Night Sky Sword grow. During the fight with Volo, you see it. During the fight with Raios, you see it. The thing is, it's not Kirito making the sword longer. It's actually the Night Sky Sword absorbing the spatial resources around the room to get itself bigger, because Kirito's request, the same way his request from the flowers in the garden was to revitalize the Zephylia flowers, he requested the Night Sky Sword to stand tall again, you know, use its power to withstand the force coming its way. And that's when the Night Sky Sword's memory awakened, absorbed the spatial resources on its own volition. Kirito didn't do that. And then grew longer and thicker to be able to withstand that force. Kirito did not make that happen. Kirito just requested the Night Sky Sword to do something, and the memory of the Night Sky Sword, being Giga Cedar, did what it does and absorbed spatial resources. This is not casual stream. This is much more casual stream than my gaming things. This is like second nature. The entire script is written here. I'm just reciting it. Take care, Tiffany. Thanks for being here since the beginning. And then we go for the incarnation shenanigans of Berkuli. Did I even respond to that? Here I'm explaining what happened to Kirito when he was stabbed by Kayaba. I'm pretty sure I didn't respond to this, but my answer is back in Alicization Explained when I was covering the episode. I'm not gonna go over that again. Especially because in Alicization Explained I actually go through the books and have much better information to put out, because I already double checked things. Right now I'm talking on the top of my mind as to what I exactly remember. Here, he was shocked to see that some sort of incarnation was in the first seasons too. He didn't seem to realize, you know? The anime created all those yellow eye concepts so people would realize. Really simplifying everything so people would not be confused. This person here missed it. It has been 2 hours, 58 minutes and 4 seconds. Here I'm explaining how he was pleading to the Night Sky Sword. Very cool. Now he's going. In other words, live manipulation and reality warp, aren't they the same way? He's just bringing up words, asking if they're the same. Words I have never brought up myself. And here I have to explain incarnation is not imagination, and how incarnation works again and again and again. And here, okay, this is also new. I'm glad we got some new territory in the final quarter here. And in Underworld, people can only use 4-hit combos, and Kirito exceeds the limitations. Doesn't that like bending the law? And I'm pretty sure he cited the book somewhere as well. Yes, here we go. He sends me a citation to claim that nobody can go above the 4-hit limit. And his citation says, Secret moves work quite similarly to the sword skills in SAO. A secret move is activated by assuming a certain stance with one's weapon, called an opening motion, which triggers the activation of a pre-programmed move, which cannot be stopped midway. However, one major difference between secret moves and sword skills that the highest possible consecutive hit combo of a secret move, unlike sword skills in SAO, is limited by the wielded sword's priority. Never does it say the limit is 4 hits. It literally says the hit count can be higher if the weapon's priority is higher. Like, his citation is the proof that he's wrong. What can you say? I say the screenshots you send me literally states the combo is limited by the wielded sword's priority. There is no 4-hit limit, and he says, couldn't find the exact statements of it, so I'd have to look more. My dude, you just need to stop looking. You're obviously looking in the wrong places. Why you and Celeste bad friends? I don't know, Kibia, you answer me. You're part of the good people. You consider Celeste a bad friend. You answer me. Wasn't Kirito unable to do sword skills that didn't go above 4 moves because of his the level thingy was a bit too low for him? He has never tried to go above that 4-hit count with the Blue Rose sword. He had doubts whether he could do more than 4 hits with the Night Sky sword because it was only a 1 level upgrade. And when he tried that 5-hit skill with the Night Sky sword, he failed. But that wasn't because the Blue Rose sword or the Night Sky sword, both of them, were incapable of doing executing skills higher than 4-hit combos, but because Kirito was doubting himself if he could pull it off. I explained this back in my Explained as well. Basically, he used negative incarnation on himself. His doubts pretty much prevented him from doing it properly. Also, you could observe that while Kirito was training and because of the fact he couldn't pull off more complex skill, he splattered mud on Volo. Again, that's because he doubted himself, doubted he ever could pull it off, and as a result, he couldn't pull it off. That's the negative side of incarnation. If you have doubts, you fuck yourself up. Moving on. We're almost done. We're almost done. And he suddenly switches the topic to where do you scale Star King Kirito? I don't scale. Scaling is stupid because you're trying to normalize characters who play by much different rules. But you're trying to bring them into the same standard. You can't do it. The universes must be similar enough that they have a common ground to stand on. Then you can achieve it. But if you're just trying to do a blanket normalization of everything, you can't do it. It's a stupid attempt. It's not logical because these characters work under different sets of rules. If you try to bring one rule, you have to bring the other rule, and because the rule this universe has doesn't exist in this universe, this rule you bring only benefits this character. This rule you bring only benefits this character. And at that point, that's not normalization, is it? That's just pitting two completely separate rules against each other to see which of the two characters of different rules wins. And that's not normalization. That's the equivalent of a 7-year-old grabbing one Hulk figure, then bringing a Sonic figure, and then you try to find out who's more powerful. That doesn't work. The two universes, the two characters work under separate... Oh, you can't even see Sonic and Hulk because... There we go, bring them lower. The two work under completely different rules. They do not match on a base logic that you can standardize on. So it's just a fool's errand, you can't do it. I can say Hulk never can be fast enough to hit Sonic, and I would be correct. And I can say Hulk is unbeatable no matter how much Sonic. Correct. A better example. Why is there dust? Why is Innsbruck dusty? A better example I had, which I'm pretty sure I have it here as well. Superman versus Bugs Bunny. If I can go ahead and say Bugs Bunny just draws a trap hole as Superman goes in, and then takes that trap hole, binds it, erases it, and if I can say Bugs Bunny just beats Superman in a single second, that should show how stupid is it, doesn't it? That gives Superman no chance to fight back instantly. Because whatever Bugs Bunny is doing, it can't apply to Superman this way. It's a different set of rules. That's my take on it. Exactly, gag characters always win because they can do whatever the fuck they want. Take care, Raj. Are you gonna do misconceptions for every SAO arc? Yes, I will, eventually. Okay, where were we again? Down here somewhere. And then he says, okay, then I won't ask. You already asked, dude. You already did, and I gave my answer. And we're back to... He was even shooking the whole underworld. We went through this much where I explained Underworld was not shaken by Kirito with explicit statements from characters in United Ring 4. And in the end, he goes, he was even shooking the whole underworld. I say you can't make Bugs Bunny fight Superman and expect a reliable answer to who wins, and he says, we usually go by the feats. Well, the feat is Bugs Bunny can create a trap hole, let the person go through, and then delete the trap hole for that person to never be seen before, and never be seen again. That's Bugs Bunny's feat. That's something he achieves. Something he can do. It's that simple. If we're gonna be stupid, then let's be stupid. But you gotta agree we're being stupid if we're gonna do this. Oh, now he goes on about how Kirito shook the entire world when he was fighting Subtilizer. Yes, of course he was. Why did I not know? Oh, I sent him a 2-minute video from the University of something. Let me see. The Oregon State University has a 2-minute video explaining what imagery is. I sent him that. And he's like writing and writing and writing. And I say, you didn't even watch the very simple 2-minute video I sent you. And he says, I'm watching while replying. And then, I'm not sure if it's in this chat or the one after, he's going on about innumerable stars and ripple waters again. What a surprise. Oh, this is where I block him. Must be somewhere here. Come on, is that? No, it's not here either. Can't find it. That is sad. Either way, the gist of it is he didn't even watch the 2-minute video to understand what imagery is. He still has no clue what imagery is. And that's pretty much the end of it. I mean, not the end of it. This is the second chat. This is the third chat he opened up. This is the fourth chat he just opened up. Which I blocked all of them. He's using alternate accounts to reach me. He sent me messages on Twitter so far. And he tried commenting on my videos. So yeah, all I can say is I am tired. So if anyone wants to ask stuff in the chat, I will be taking your questions now. Let me get rid of this one to open up some space. We put the listen here you little shit to the top right. Top left. Left. Yeah. I can now answer questions for like 5 to 10 minutes and then I'll go. No, over 3 hours, Jesus. My brain cells are now gone. You and me both. And all the other people who have watched the video so far. So you're welcome. Why are people so stupid? I am not gonna answer that because I'll be crucified if I answer. When do you believe the next SEO progressive trailer will drop? Very likely on the Kadokawa stage that we have, if I am not mistaken, somewhere in March. Let me check. Yes, there will be a Kadokawa stage in March. So I'm assuming we will get our new trailer there. New and final trailer with the release date there, which is probably gonna be an April release. Either April or May. I don't see them announcing a longer wait time from that final trailer because COVID is being very unpredictable and they don't want to risk that. When will you do Sword Online Alicization explain stupid things power scalers say special the sequel? Hopefully never. Hopefully never. Despite the fact that I really like being showered in super chat, hopefully never. What is the difference between redefined object versus Alice's shape-changing art where she turns her gauntlet into a chain? She explains that back during that scene as well when Kirito asks the exact same question. Redefined object, you're really redefining object into something else. So even the material itself is changing. So you can create from a human, a biological body, a metal sword. You can turn that into a metal sword. In fact, many things Quinella does, it's turning things into metal swords, and that's why she has the metal barrier as well. That's how she keeps her safe, by turning everything, making sure every single thread is metal, so that she won't be hurt because she has the metal barrier. Whereas shape-changing art, it's not changing the fundamental nature of what that is. So a gauntlet, that's obviously metal, it's just changing the shape. It remains metal. That's the difference. What happened to Wasago's body after he died? We do not know. If you want my speculation, I believe Wasago indeed woke up and is currently on the ocean turtle, and is the reason why Admina gave Cardina wrong information about the whereabouts of the abyssal horror that put Shtika and Laura into danger. I'll only say that much because I cannot be too specific with that speculation because it involves spoilers that I did not intend to divulge in this stream. Take care, Ada. I don't remember the exact commands, but what Quinella does is redefining the entire object into a different object, whereas what Alice does is just changing the shape of it. That's the simplest way to put it. Do you read any other light novels apart from SAO? I do have Axel World and Alternative GGO. Over here still haven't started. There we go. Axel World Volume 1 and AGGO 4, because the AGGO Season 1 covered Volume 1s to 3, and I didn't want to start from the beginning. Whereas with Axel World, I did want to start from the beginning. Way too long since I watched it. Aside from that, I do have plans to go back to Percy Jackson. It was one of my favorite series a couple years back. Then the movie, well, the sequel movie, completely killed my hype for it, and I caught up with the releases at a certain point, and waiting a year, sometimes over a year, for the next release was too much, and I eventually forgot about the series' existence. The new Disney Plus series for Percy Jackson really has me hyped. So I want to cover it again. And this book right here, it's the sequel series to Percy Jackson, the Heroes of Olympus, where we got Jason and the others from the Roman side as well, not just the Greek mythology. This book has my favorite scene, by far my favorite scene in the entire series, right at the end of it. And I am not gonna spoil that here because I'd rather have people read it. It's an absolutely beautiful scene between Percy and Annabeth, and I am going to read it again. Big chungus of a book. That's just one out of many books, man. That's how Western novels are. And I will definitely have content for Percy Jackson stuff once it releases on Disney Plus too, if anyone's interested. I strongly recommend the series, by the way. Take care, Anestes. Are you going into Tsukihime? Yes, I will. That OP, I'm sold. Are you planning covering other animes like you did with Love is War? Love is War OVA I will cover next season. Shaman King reboot I will cover. FGO stuff I will cover. So the answer is yes. Not sure how much I will spread myself, but I will definitely cover those for now. The others, I'm not so sure. Percy Jackson, I haven't read that since 4th grade. You should. It's beautiful. I'm not so into the Jason and co. The characters did not really resonate with me all that much, despite the fact that I love Roman mythology just as much as I love Greek mythology. But yeah, I'm just there for Percy and Annabeth. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and say it took me way too long to realize the magic I found with Kirito and Asuna was so special because somewhere in there I related it to what I found with Percy and Annabeth all that time ago and then forgot about it. So I will say that much. Imagine reading books. I read 2 in my life. Both are school literature. Good! You didn't skip the literature. You didn't skip the literature in school. See? You're one step above that person that I was chatting with on Facebook DMs. Good job, Truth. Good job. Don't skip literature class, please. We don't need more of these people on the world. I'm interested. I used to love that shit. Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. I think to remember to read it somewhere that the enemy took something with them from Ocean Turtle, like a USB or something. You are correct. Critter did pull a couple things from the files, just so he would have something to use as leverage, so that he won't be killed. But he didn't take anything significant. They did not get what they were looking for. It was just a part of the research that he would try to use secure his life with. But you are correct. Critter did steal a bunch of stuff on a USB. Can't wait to see you enjoy Tsukima. Have you seen Fate before? Of course. Of course. How does using sacred arts to generate food function, since you know you need to eat it? That's a good question. I don't have a way to answer it yet because I don't remember a specific instance of using sacred arts to generate food. Hopefully next time I actually get to see your game streams if I can make it. This was really interesting and fun to see you all later. Thanks for joining, man. See ya. I remember that we had the Greek mythology in 6th grade and we had to read some... I read like half the book before I had to return it back to the library. Probably Iliad. It's either Iliad or Odyssey. Iliad is usually more popular. But yeah, in middle school or high school, they always get you to read either Iliad or Odyssey. And most people hate it because the language is so archaic. I love it. I love mythology. Specifically Greek and Roman mythology. Those two I love. We got so many beautiful sites in Turkey as well for all of that. We got Ephesus, Miletos, the huge temple of Apollo in Didim, Turkey. We got Pergamum, Bergama in Turkish. Nearby we got Asklepios, the ancient world's equivalent of a hospital city, which is where the apotheke, English word for apotheke again. That's what happens when you have too many languages in your mind. It doesn't work. Pharmacy. That's where the pharmacy comes from. You see the pharmacy signs always has a bowl, snake, and I don't remember the name of the tool, but it's always a standard for pharmacies. That dates back all the way to Asklepios back in Turkey. It's absolutely beautiful. What else do we have? We got so much that I can't list all of them. I can't even remember all of them on the top of my mind, especially after talking 3 hours about Sword Art Online, completely unrelated topic. Aphrodisias, yes. That's what I was trying to find out. I have the entire Aphrodisias mapped out. I was just trying to find the name of the town. It's absolutely beautiful. I need to reread the Percy Jackson series. How many are there now? 3 sub-series? There are a huge amount of sub-series. There is Percy Jackson, which is the first series. Then there is Heroes of Olympus, the sequel, which introduces the Roman stuff. There is the Carter Chronicles, which is the Egyptian mythology stuff. I finished it all. I wasn't way too interested in the Egyptian stuff. I never was all that interested in the Egyptian stuff. I believe there is a series about the Norse mythology, which I am also not very interested in. But yeah, there's plenty of sub-series for Percy Jackson. But I'm only really interested in Percy Jackson and Heroes of Olympus because of Percy and Annabeth. Oh, you were talking about Cardinal converting the books into food? Yes, you do remember correct. That was not turning actual spatial resources into food. That was actually converting those valuable books into food. And that's basically how to put this in a way that makes sense. It's basically the priority of the object is so high that you can create certain other things by deriving from it. It's about the priority of the object that defines how valuable it is, and based on that value, when you transform it to something else, the priority being valuable remains the same, if that makes sense. So it's all about that priority value rather than anything else at that point. Like, for example, the same logic is, that's actually a good comparison, when Quinella's arm is cut off, she grabs the arm and turns it into a new weapon. Because that was her part and her own priority is so high, the weapon that she used to create the sword, I mixed up my words. The weapon she created using her cut off arm also has a very high priority. Obviously, her arm did not have any spectacular abilities like piercing people or being very powerful when clashed against other swords. But because it had high priority, that high priority was converted into a different aspect based on the new object that was created. I think that's a good example of how to think about turning the law book into food. It's all about that priority. No, not the Odyssey, just full of Greek myths. The Odyssey was there as well, but yeah, the Odyssey is itself part of the literature in school. Mostly, I believe, either 6th or 9th grade. Hey there, Mavis. Welcome to the crew. Thank you for joining. Hopefully, I do not disappoint. I actually do need to cook. Oh my god, it's 10:30 almost. I didn't even... I need to wash the dishes too. Let's keep going for a bit more, I guess. Yeah, at the very least in high school, you always get to read at either Odyssey or Iliad. I have a soft spot for Greek and Roman mythology since I'm just slightly Greek and half Italian. I'm Turkish, but I just love Greek and Roman mythology. It has nothing to do with my ethnicity. I just absolutely love the culture itself. What we know of the culture. And when I mean culture, of course, we don't clearly know how they lived. And they probably didn't live all such great lives. But like the architecture, the stories that came out, etc. All those kinds of stuff. I just absolutely love everything. A theory, the abyssal horror is the incarnation of Wasago or is created by him. It's quite a wild theory. Kunyala's body is our weapon. Nice one, Truth, good job. What's for dinner? Pasta and meatballs. I'm a university student. I don't exactly have the choice of variety when it comes to cooking. But again, get me 200k subs and we're gonna do a Cooking with Gamerturk show. That much has been promised, so up to you, Antho. Spread the word. Ah yes, the Gamerturk catchphrase. I need to do the dishes. Yep. Isn't pasta and meatballs technically spaghetti? No. For that, you actually need to have long pasta and meatballs. In fact, that's not even spaghetti. Dude, spaghetti is just long pasta. It has nothing to do with the meat. This is what I got. Small fuzuli, which is named Girandole, and Adana köfte, which is called Kebapçıcı over here. Probably from the Balkans. We all eat the same stuff in Balkans, in Turkey, all the same. Nah, my kitchen is a mess. I will not do that. Anyways, I guess we're done. You feel like we're done? I do. What a coincidence. The only thing we enjoy here in Mexico is tacos. That is way too stereotypical, man. Way too stereotypical. Grow the beard? No. Anyways, looking at the quality of the comments, we're done for today. Thank you very much for joining me on this incredible journey to make sure the hours I spent with this person was not wasted and will actually come back to me in some sort of ad revenue, hopefully. And thank you much for all of you who have gone for the super chat route, and Mavic for joining the members. Mavic, right? I did not. Mavis. Ugh. It's always bad when you feel so confident at someone's name, and it turns out you missed it. Thank you for joining, Mavis. Thank you to everyone else who used the super chat. Thank you to everyone who watched this 3.5 hour stream of me going this. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.